Amidst a desolate battlefield, a warrior calls out to his brother, Luo Wai, asking about their oath to face life and death together. In despair, he questions why he was betrayed. Luo Wai, his old friend, begins to recount their story, asking if he remembers the beginning. He recalls the time of disaster when monsters from strange dimensions appeared and ravaged the land. The image of the warrior kneeling on the battlefield after a fierce battle flashes back. Luo Wai explains that those dimensions are called dungeons, and those who come into contact with them gain a power called a profession. They gathered an army of those with professions and achieved resounding victories. But Luo Wai coldly declares that this is why he had to eliminate the warrior, as he had grown beyond control. He reasoned that a profession user who was too powerful could easily disrupt the Empire's order, and someone who surpassed even SSS rank like the warrior was the most dangerous enemy. Luo Wai asserts that ultimate power must reside entirely within the royal family to ensure the Empire's stability. The warrior cries out in pain, asking if that was the reason Luo Wai murdered his family and comrades. With the crown on his head, Luo Wai confirms it was all for the Empire's stability. In utter rage, the warrior lunges forward to attack, screaming the name of the traitor. A streak of crimson light flashes. The armor on his body suddenly explodes from within. A devastating explosion engulfs the warrior. Luo Wai reveals that he had tampered with the armor earlier, causing it to explode and release a complex poison into the wound. He mocks that after being exhausted from an SSS-level battle, the warrior would have no strength left to resist. To be sure, Luo Wai also brought an entire army of mages. He calls this act of extermination a way to show respect to his old friend. In his final moments, memories of their days as close brothers by the campfire flood back. The warrior bitterly realizes that their brotherhood was nothing but a lie. Just then, a system notification appears, stating that the hidden SSS rank skill, Mirror World, capable of reversing everything, has been activated. The warrior's body slowly sinks into the deep water. Decades later, by a tranquil riverbank, a young boy with an identical appearance to the warrior of yesteryear is hung upside down from a tree by a group of youths who mock him for faking his death. The leader angrily grabs him, saying he's sick of his gloomy face. He orders him to be thrown into the water again, despite the boy's attempts to explain he wasn't faking. As the boy sinks into the water, the bullies burst into laughter and plan to pull him up to beat him further. Underwater, the boy screams in extreme pain. In his chaotic mind, he desperately cries out the question, "Why me?" His warrior soul wonders why he is always treated this way, before being interrupted by a strange noise. A companion wearing glasses timidly speaks up, asking the leader to stop, as the victim might actually die. The leader scoffs, saying if he's going to die, he should just use the healing magic of a mere enchanter. He turns and grabs the bespectacled companion by the collar, calling him a hypocrite. He blames the companion for leading them here and threatens to drown him too. He sarcastically remarks that even the punching bags have their own opinions. The leader raises his fist, growling that the companion is being uncooperative. He swings his arm, intending to deliver a powerful punch. Suddenly, the surrounding space distorts, revealing a strange landscape with numerical characters. The entire group of bullies is terrified to realize a dungeon has appeared right there. The leader shouts orders to run, as this new dungeon is not something they can mess with, but the bespectacled companion hesitates. He glances back at the boy still hanging unconscious from the branch. Sweat pours down his face. The bespectacled companion agonizes over, leaving him behind. Putting aside all hesitation, he grits his teeth and makes a decision. The bespectacled companion shouts that they must save the boy first, and rushes back. Just as he runs off, grotesque, skeletal creatures begin to emerge from the ground. While struggling to untie the stubborn rope, the bespectacled companion doesn't notice the monsters closing in behind him. A small, horned demon lunges to attack, causing him to scream in fear. In a flash, the victimized boy breaks free from the ropes and rushes to block the attack for his friend. With eyes glowing purple, he unleashes a skill called Frost Shock. A system panel appears, announcing he used basic healing magic on the demon, but failed because the target was already bleeding. The bespectacled companion screams in panic, not understanding why he would heal a monster. The demon is repelled by a blast of golden energy, leaving the other friend in bewilderment. A character information panel appears, revealing the body's name as Yun Che, level 5, Enchanter class. Yun Che looks at his glowing hands and is shocked to realize this is not his body. He recalls the world's rule. Anyone who comes into contact with a dungeon is granted a random profession by the system. This process is irreversible, and people grow stronger based on that profession, but he was originally a top-tier warrior. Yun Che remembers the moment before his death, he activated the hidden SSS rank skill called Mirror World. Although reincarnation isn't necessarily a good thing, Yun Che is secretly grateful for the chance at revenge. Meanwhile, Xiaoji is being chased by monsters, screaming in panic that he can only hold off 3. Yunche is aware that his current body is too weak. He examines his skills and concludes they are completely useless in this combat situation. With the enchanter profession being purely supportive, he lacks direct combat capabilities. Yunche bitterly thinks that it's because of this weakness that he's always been ostracized by those with combat professions. Nevertheless, he uses his combat experience from his past life to evade the monster's attack. He knows he must find a way out before his stamina runs out. Yunche's only hope now is the hidden skill, Mirror World. He tries to activate the skill on a grudge demon, not knowing how to use it. However, a notification appears, stating the skill failed because it didn't meet the usage requirements. Just then, a swarm of giant monsters rushes towards them, terrifying Yunche. Xiaozhi falls to the ground in despair, his defensive shield shattered. The entire dark space is filled with countless pairs of glowing red eyes of the monster horde. Yunche continues to experiment, using Mirror World, on a roadside stone, but it fails due to his low level. Facing the enemy, he wonders if it's due to the vast level difference. Seeing the reflection of a monster in a puddle, he hypothesizes that the skill requires a reflective surface. He tries the skill again on another monster, but the failure notification still appears, specifying the reason as low level. Yunche notices the difference in the error message, confirming the problem lies with his level. He concludes that Mirror World definitely needs a reflective surface to function. Since he can't immediately solve the level issue, he decides to try using the skill on the monster's weapon. But this attempt also fails due to his low level. Xiaozhi screams in despair, urging Yunche to stop using useless support skills when he can no longer hold on. A giant elite monster appears, its stats indicating overwhelming power. Xiaozhi is completely devastated, thinking he's doomed as he needs to be level 10 to fight an elite monster of level 10. Yunche suddenly has a new idea and tries using Mirror World on Xiaozhi's basic shield. The skill fails but reveals crucial information. It cannot be used on another person's skill, making Yunche realize he can use it on himself. He successfully reverses his own skill, Vine Restraint, creating a massive purple energy blast. The system announces that he has used the new skill, Chaos Thorns. The reverse skill is unleashed, striking the elite monster hard in the face. The elite monster roars in pain after the unexpected attack. Xiaozhi stands frozen, not understanding what just happened. Yunche calmly realizes the skill's effect has been completely reversed. The system explains that the original skill, Vine Restraint, is used to bind the target. But after reversal, it has become Chaos Thorns, with the ability to cause confusion. Under the skill's effect, the monster horde begins to attack each other wildly. Yunche smirks. A skill that was originally useless now brings unexpected results. He silently acknowledges that Mirror World truly lives up to its name as a hidden SSS-Rank skill. It not only reverses effects but also enhances them in all aspects. He thinks back, if it were the original skill, the success rate would be low and the binding duration would only last a second or two. It's incomparable to my current strength, and I'm starting to plan my next move. Yunche wondered how other reverse skills would transform, starting with Basic Attack Blade. This skill, after being reversed, became Cunning Blade, which increases attack power by 10% every time MP is consumed. He created an Energy Blade, thinking to himself that each time he used the skill, his attack power would increase by 10%. When the skill is activated, any other skill usage will also trigger the power-up effect, showing immense growth potential. Unexpectedly, a beam of light enveloped Yunche. He had leveled up to 6. He realized he leveled up because a large number of monsters had died from attacking each other. Noticing the significant experience points the monsters provided, he swung his energy blade. Leveling up also fully restored his MP. Yunche decided to take advantage of the monster's current chaos to test Cunning Blade. He continuously used Chaotic Thorns, easily boosting his attack power to 2.2 times. With glowing eyes, Yunche prepared for the massacre. He charged straight towards a disoriented monster. He marveled to himself that the power of this skill far exceeded normal levels. The sharp energy blade sliced through the monster's body. The powerful slash continued to cut through the monster standing behind it. Xiaozhi watched the scene with a stunned expression. He couldn't believe his eyes, wondering if this was truly Yunche, a level 5 enchanter. During the fight, Yunche calmly analyzed his strength with his level 6 stats. He calculated that with 120 MP and his recovery rate, he could reach a maximum attack power of 2.3 times. Standing on the corpse of the elite monster, Yunche pondered his current strength. He assessed that he was only just strong enough to handle level 11 elite monsters. Suddenly, a massive energy erupted from the ground, throwing both Yunche and Xiaozhi back. Yunche turned, his expression becoming serious at the new threat. A colossal monster appeared, identified as the level 21 battlefield chimera. Its presence made the other grudge demons tremble. The chimera let out a savage roar and charged to attack. Qiaoji screamed in terror at the horrific sight. Yunche realized this was a level 21 hidden boss of this dungeon. Without hesitation, the giant chimera charged directly at Yunche. Yunche immediately used the Chaotic Thorns skill on the boss. However, a notification appeared stating the target was immune to chaotic effects. In the midst of the crisis, a warning shout echoed. An armored knight suddenly appeared, using a giant golden shield to block the chimera's attack. Yunche was stunned by the sudden appearance of the person who had just saved their lives. The knight stood firm, his shield emitting a brilliant light. He turned and scolded someone. "You idiot! I told you not to rush in. Why do you never listen?" Yunche's eyes gleamed with a complex expression as he looked at the knight. Although the attack was blocked, the shockwave still sent Qiaoji flying. Yunche was also blown away and fell to the ground. He angrily looked at the person who had pushed them into this situation. Ignoring the knight, Yunche rushed to the severely injured Qiaoji. He used basic heal on Qiaoji, simultaneously activating the 10% attack power boost for himself. Fortunately, the heal was a critical hit, restoring an additional 5 HP to Qiaoji. Qiaoji complained that the healing magic was too weak and asked if Yunche had any potions. While the status bar revealed the knight's name was Tianji, Yunche replied that he had a bottle. While his attack power had stacked up to 110%, he inwardly assessed that with his current strength, he still couldn't directly confront the boss. But then, Yunche realized something important. Most of the other monsters were nearly dead. He decided, telling Qiaoji to try and hold on a little longer. With the determination to wipe them all out, Yunche charged into the midst of the dying monsters. A system notification appeared, stating that Yunche had leveled up, and his HP and MP were fully restored. Yunche calculated that to defeat the boss, he needed to increase his attack power to at least 400%. He realized the Cunning Blade skill only lasted for 1 minute, while he continuously leveled up and used skills. With glowing eyes, he set a goal for himself to reach at least level 10. While the battlefield chimera roared, level up notifications continuously appeared for Yunche. Yunche's status screen displayed that he had reached level 12. With his attack power increased to 510%, Yunche confidently declared that it was more than enough. He charged forward, unleashing a purple energy slash at the battlefield chimera's arm. The powerful attack hit the colossal monster. Yunche continued his relentless assault, unleashing a series of slashes at the boss. Completely overwhelmed, the monster was torn apart by countless slashes. Yunche soared through the air, finishing off the boss with a final blow. Tianji stood stunned, unable to believe what he had just witnessed. A notification confirmed the level 21 boss had been eliminated, making Qiaoji wonder if he was dreaming. Yunche stood amidst the monster corpses, receiving notifications for 3 more level ups, while Tianji was astonished that a level 5 enchanter could clear the dungeon. The new status screen showed Yunche had reached level 15, and the system announced the dungeon had been completed. Tianji approached, skeptically asking Yunche if it was really him. He continued to question how Yunche had suddenly become so powerful. Yunche ignored the question, his gaze fixed on Qiaoji. He suddenly asked Qiaoji about his relationship with someone named Qiao Benben. Qiaoji was shocked, asking how Yunche knew his great-grandfather's childhood nickname. Yunche was astonished to realize Qiaoji was Qiao Benben's great-grandson. A memory of a dirt-faced young Qiao Benben flashed in Yunche's mind. He wondered why the descendant of someone he knew was still alive, as he was sure everyone had been killed by Luo Qi. As Yunche was about to ask about Qiao Benben's current situation, Qiaoji interrupted, saying there was no need to mention him at the moment. Qiaoji lowered his head, thinking Yunche was deliberately trying to embarrass him, which confused Yunche. Qiaoji accused Yunche of hiding his strength, then quickly changed the subject to the school trip tomorrow, to urge everyone to return. Yunche looked ahead resolutely. To avoid suspicion, he decided to leave as his identity could not yet be revealed. He believed that place would have records of what happened after his death. Meanwhile, other students were excitedly on the bus to the school's field trip location. Yunche and Qiaoji sat quietly, separated from the noisy atmosphere. Yunche mused that time had truly passed. He realized the world had changed so much, they even used items from dungeons to power vehicles. Many things he had never seen had appeared, though he had encountered some of them in certain dungeons. He wondered why, because logically, only items dropped by monsters could be brought out of a dungeon. A system window popped up with information about the Chimera Bone Ring, an equipment he received from the boss. Yunche mused that equipment and skill books could be brought out through the inventory, and even bought and sold. He reversed the Tenacious Physique skill into a permanent passive skill, Flexible Physique, which reduces physical damage taken, but things that couldn't be put into the inventory should have disappeared with the dungeon after the boss was defeated. Finally, the entire class arrived in front of the large building of the History Memorial Hall. It was the statue of the kingdom's supreme ruler, Emperor Luo Wai, who had ended the dungeon disaster. The teacher explained that over 50 years ago, this very place was the battlefield of a famous rebellion. He recounted the dark period when people lived in fear of the destruction caused by dungeons, especially a certain SSS-class dungeon. But King Luo Wai personally led the army to conquer, and despite heavy losses, they finally conquered that terrifying dungeon. However, at the very moment of victory, a horrific event occurred. The king faced a long-planned rebellion, and the mastermind was Yunche. The teacher declared Yunche a traitor who had stabbed the king he trusted implicitly, leaving Yunche stunned as he realized how everything had been reversed. Fury ignited within Yunche as he recalled the truth. They were the ones who conquered the SSS grade dungeon and were framed by Luo Wai. The teacher continued his emotional speech, saying no one could imagine the pain of being betrayed in such circumstances. Finally, with the help of the hero Ding Kun, the rebellion was completely suppressed. Hearing that name, Yunche froze in disbelief. Ding Kun? Yunche silently pondered the name Ding Kun that had just been mentioned. The newcomer's companions chattered that there must have been an expert nearby for the dungeon to be resolved so quickly. The leader brushed it off, claiming they were just lucky. Yunche realized the group that had just arrived was not ordinary. The crowd of students whispered upon recognizing the person as Ding Shu, and began discussing the dungeon disaster. A blonde female student showed disdain, not believing they could have survived and returned. Ding Shu approached and put his arm around Qiaozhi in a threatening manner, sarcastically remarking how lucky he was to be alive. He leaned close to Qiaozhi's ear with a sinister smile. Ding Shu blamed Qiaozhi for dragging everyone into the dungeon and nearly costing them all their lives. He demanded Qiaozhi pay the price, but Qiaozhi fearfully retorted that it was clearly Ding Shu's fault. Qiaozhi angrily declared he would report this. Ding Shu scoffed, saying Qiaozhi didn't seem to understand the situation clearly. He pointed towards the statue in front. Ding Shu told Qiaozhi to look at how his grandfather was trampled underfoot by the hero. Qiaozhi shouted that Ding Shu could insult him, but he was not allowed to insult his grandfather. The surrounding crowd began to discuss the scuffle, confirming Ding Shu's grandfather was indeed the hero Ding Kun. They recognized Qiaozhi and showed contempt, thinking the descendant of a traitor dared to insult a hero. Ding Shu feigned offense, saying Qiaozhi dared to insult his grandfather right in front of everyone. The teacher approached, placed a hand on Qiaozhi's shoulder, and said he would judge fairly. But then, he coldly ordered Qiaozhi to apologize. The teacher also scolded Qiaozhi as ungrateful, as his family had been spared by the hero. Qiaozhi stood alone, stunned in the hall. Ding Shu gleefully said that even if he beat Qiaozhi, everyone would cheer, because no one would help a mad dog being beaten, especially one hated by everyone. Ding Shu grabbed Qiaozhi's hair, his voice a growl, asking if the descendant of a hero like him could be wrong. Ding Shu roared, raising his fist to strike Qiaozhi for his grandfather's honor. But before the fist could land, an unexpected kick stopped him. Yunche stood there coldly after kicking Ding Shu away. Qiaozhi looked up in disbelief, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Yunche looked down at Ding Shu with contempt, sarcastically remarking that hero families didn't have time to teach their children. The students buzzed, one exclaiming they didn't recognize Yunche and were astonished he dared to hit Ding Shu. Everyone recalled Yunche was just a weak level 5 and wondered if he had lost his mind. Ding Shu got up, a sinister smile on his face, thinking Yunche, a person with no parents and no friends, had finally gone insane. Ding Shu's companions angrily charged forward, deciding to deal with Yunche together. Yunche merely smirked, completely unfazed. In an instant, Yunche moved with astonishing speed, taking down Ding Shu's entire group. One companion collapsed in pain. Ding Shu was no exception, spitting blood after taking a blow. The entire student body was stunned, not understanding what was happening as Ding Shu's group lay scattered on the floor. Ding Shu knelt on the ground, bewildered, wondering how he could have been defeated by Yunche. The other students were also astonished, no one having seen what happened. Ding Shu looked at his hands, beginning to doubt his own strength. He roared in anger, refusing to accept that a trash level 5 support could be stronger than him, and activated the skill, Rage, increasing his attack power by 25%. Believing Yunche had just gotten lucky, Dingshu equipped the fire-forged hammer, adding another 314 attack power. He roared and leaped up, swinging the flaming hammer to finish Yunche. Yunche calmly commented that his opponent's attack had too many openings. He activated Cunning Blade, increasing his attack power by 80%, and easily blocked the hammer. Dingsu couldn't believe his eyes, completely shocked by Yunche's strength. Yunche ended the fight with a powerful kick, knocking Dingshu unconscious on the spot. Just then, the memorial's security personnel rushed over, frantically asking what was happening. The head guard recognized Dingshu was unconscious, and quickly called for medical attention. The students were still in shock, discussing Yunche's speed, and assuming he must have hidden his true level. 2 female students marveled at Yunche's level. Security officer rushed over, angrily scolding the teacher for allowing a fight to break out in the museum. The teacher ignored the warning, pointed at Yunche, and accused him of attacking the descendant of a hero. He called Yunche brazen, and secretly channeled power into his hand. Sensing danger, Yunche's eyes glowed purple as the ring on his hand also began to shine. The teacher attacked unexpectedly, but Yunche used the ring to create a purple energy shield to block the blow. Security personnel and surrounding students were stunned by Yunche's power. The teacher angrily denied it, but then was surprised, wondering what kind of equipment Yunche's ring was. The teacher angrily denied it, but then was surprised, wondering what kind of equipment Yunche's ring was. Yunche casually said he was just kidding, while secretly thinking the teacher hadn't even used his full strength. Sweating profusely, the teacher hastily promised to investigate thoroughly, secretly fearing Yunche had powerful backing. A notification appeared showing the Chimera Bone Ring had only 37% durability left, and Yunche judged it too weak to withstand a level 35 teacher. Yunche proposed a simple punishment: expulsion from the museum for both of them. With that, he turned and called for Qiaoji to leave, leaving the bewildered teacher behind. Qiaoji and the other students were still in shock, unable to believe a student could block a teacher's attack. Meanwhile, the teacher frantically asked for medical attention for Ding Shu, but another student realized he had already recovered. Yunche and Qiaoji walked down the stairs together, leaving the museum building. On the way, Yunche fell into thought, painfully recalling how Benben had been killed by someone hailed as a hero. Qiaoji looked at his companion with admiration. Yunche then pretended to be weak in history, asking Qiaoji about the true achievements of the hero, Ding Kun. Qiaoji was a bit confused but tried to recall what he had learned. Hearing this, Yunche smirked with a wry smile. An ambush near the dungeon? Hearing this, Yunche smirked with a wry smile. An ambush near the dungeon? Memories flooded back, showing an image of Yunche in his past life, exhausted on a ruined battlefield. The chaotic scene of the past battle appeared, where he and his comrades had fought to the end. Qiaoji, unaware, continued to narrate that Ding Kun had long aimed to end the dungeon crisis and trained rigorously for it. Qiaoji, unaware, continued to narrate that Ding Kun had long aimed to end the dungeon crisis and trained rigorously for it. After being promoted by the king, Ding Kun campaigned for years to save regions from disaster. He also mentioned Ding Kun's glorious feat in the Winter City disaster, where he single-handedly faced an army of monsters. He recalled the propaganda image of Ding Kun, standing proudly atop a pile of monster corpses. He recalled the propaganda image of Ding Kun, standing proudly atop a pile of monster corpses. Yunche's gaze focused on the sword in the statue of Ding Kun's hand. Qiaoji explained it was the flowing cloud sword, the top weapon supposedly used to kill the traitor Yunche. With his eyes blazing purple, he decided to start by eliminating Ding Kun. The scene shifted to a magnificent city. Outside, the Ding family mansion, a squad of high-level guards was patrolling. A blonde-haired guard seemed to sense something unusual. Yunche and Qiaoji were hiding behind a nearby pillar. The guard dismissed it as a mischievous child and moved on. Yunche inwardly noted the guard was very vigilant, likely a wanderer with scout skills. Qiaoji nervously urged Yunche to leave, worried they'd be in trouble if Ding Shu returned. Yunche mused that while he wanted to kill Ding Kun directly, it was impossible. He knew that according to Qiaoji, Ding Kun was currently in a high-level rift. Unlike in his past life, high-level rifts were now guarded by the military and required passes. A formidable army stood guard at the entrance to a rift. Yunche deduced that Ding Shu's house must possess a pass. He wondered why one branch of the family needed so many guards. Qiaoji explained they were descendants of a hero, and the mansion even encompassed a rift. Yunche was surprised to learn there was a rift within the house itself. Qiaoji confirmed that low-level rifts had long been secretly traded among the elite. He added that without power and influence, ordinary people couldn't even dream of it. He bitterly recounted how Ding Shu could bring guards to farm monsters anytime, while ordinary students had to fight for the school's training opportunities. Yunche commented that times had truly changed. He asked if being richer and more powerful meant higher levels, and Qiaoji affirmed it. Qiaoji explained, most ordinary people graduated at levels 15 to 20, and were stuck there due to lack of rift access. Only those in related professions like mining or forest guarding could reach level 30 inches old age. He pointed out that Ding Zhu's guards were also level 30 thanks to the family's rift, and to go further, one had to join the army or officer academies. Yunche inwardly thought that to become stronger, he absolutely needed the rift path. Qiaoji tried to dissuade him, arguing that with the level difference, Yunche couldn't possibly defeat the guards. He couldn't even touch the Supreme King Luo Wei. But he analyzed that the guard's scout skills weren't enough to cover the entire mansion. He couldn't even touch the Supreme King Luo Wei. But he analyzed that the guard's scout skills weren't enough to cover the entire mansion. Yunche reasoned that since this wasn't a life-or-death situation, the guards would be lax, making infiltration feasible. Qiaoji confusedly asked who would be lazy. Yunche explained that the defense system here was much looser than anything he'd seen, but Qiaoji still feared they could be killed if discovered. Suddenly, Yunche grabbed Qiaoji's collar. As he was about to speak further, he looked directly into Qiaoji's eyes and asked if he wanted to change his life. Qiaoji weakly replied that it was only possible if he joined a guild legion. Yunche questioned if that would truly change anything, given he was still the descendant of the traitor Qiao En. He repeated Qiaoji's name, stunning him with the harsh truth. Yunche pushed Qiaoji away and said fate could only be changed in the present, not by gambling on the future. He declared he wouldn't let this rift pass him by and turned to leave, letting Qiaoji decide for himself. Yunche thought about his old friend Benben. He wondered if Benben's descendant would make the same choice as his ancestor, while Qiaoji was still hesitating. Finally, Qiaoji decided he couldn't let Yunche go to his death alone, and rushed to catch up. As they began their infiltration, Yunche signaled Qiaoji to remain silent, confirming no summon-type scout skills were nearby. They moved stealthily along the high walls, directly above the patrolling guards. They both flew over another guard to avoid detection. Timing it perfectly, Yunche and Qiaoji successfully slipped into the Ding family mansion's courtyard. Qiaoji exclaimed in surprise at an unexpected sight. Before them was a purple spatial rift glowing on the ground. Yunche commented that the monsters inside were slightly higher level than the previous rift. They both looked down, Yunche surmising there weren't many monsters here, as Ding Shu's men cleaned it out regularly. Yunche pointed at 2 shadow demon zombies and told Qiaoji to try his hand. Qiaoji panicked, stammering that he couldn't possibly win against them. He cried out in despair and created a shield of light as the zombies charged, lamenting that he had trusted Yunche too much. A zombie lunged, causing Qiaoji to scream in fear and regret following. Surrounded, Qiaoji desperately wailed about wanting to go home, while still trying to defend himself. From a distance, Yunche urged him to fight, but Qiaoji fearfully replied he had no chance. Yunche calmly crossed his arms, reassuring him that as long as he was there, nothing would happen. Despite his fear, Qiaoji persevered, holding his shield against the enemies. Finally, he yelled and used all his strength to push a zombie back with his shield. But immediately after, another zombie appeared right behind him, terrifying him. Qiaoji looked up worriedly, maintaining his defensive stance. Yunche observed, inwardly thinking everything was as he predicted. He analyzed that Qiaoji truly had talent and extremely accurate spatial awareness, but his timid nature made him only dare to defend. Therefore, despite the dangerous-looking situation, Qiaoji suffered almost no damage. As the shield began to crack, Qiaoji cried out that he couldn't take it anymore, and Yunche realized this was the limit where most people gave up. Thinking of Qiao Benben, Yunche activated the skill Cunning Blade and charged in to eliminate the monsters, telling himself that his ancestor's descendant had taken his first step. Yunche explained that experience points were shared by contribution, and if Qiaoji hadn't made them unbalanced, he wouldn't have received much. Yunche explained that experience points were shared by contribution, and if Qiaoji hadn't made them unbalanced, he wouldn't have received much. He summoned his new weapon, the Grudgebone Blade, created from the Chimera boss. Noticing Qiaoji moved quite agilely, Yunche asked about his stat distribution, learning he had evenly allocated points to everything except spirit. Yunche wondered why a shield bearer would neglect agility. Qiaoji sadly explained that no one in school wanted a slow tanker on their team. Yunche advised him to think long-term, as high-level classes at level 60 had their own stat requirements. He gave the example of the Immovable Fortress class, which required 60 stamina and 90 defense. Yunche placed his hand on Qiaoji's shoulder and said that from now on, he could start thinking about becoming S-Rank. Yunche placed his hand on Qiaoji's shoulder and said that from now on, he could start thinking about becoming S-Rank. Yunche then told himself that he also needed to plan for his job advancement. He realized his current support class could only turn the tide thanks to the hidden skill Mirror World. He was contemplating his next job choice when something unexpected happened. A notification appeared showing that the Mirror World skill had received 2,000 experience points, leaving Yunche stunned to learn it could also level up. Energized, Yunche charged to attack another zombie. He easily cleaved the monster in two with a powerful sword strike. As the effect of Cunning Blade ended, Yunche lunged to attack a monster. He was surprised when his stab couldn't immediately finish the monster. The level 17 Greed Demon retaliated as Yunche's power-up effect wore off. Yunche dodged and realized that Cunning Blade, while powerful, couldn't be used in prolonged battles. After defeating the monster, he gasped, admitting his stamina was also an issue. Suddenly, Yunche leveled up twice to 17. Much faster than usual. The system notification stated he had received 2,000 experience points for Mirror World after defeating 2 elite zombies. Yunche joyfully realized that defeating monsters also strengthened his hidden skill. Abruptly, he sensed someone's presence. He threw a stone to create a diversion. From the cliffside, Yunche and Chao Ji observed the Ding family guards patrolling more frequently. Chao Ji worried they might have been discovered and the danger would increase as monsters became scarce. Yunche inwardly agreed, feeling the pressure of fighting, evading, and timing his skills. When he tried to reverse it in his mind, he concluded that not all reversal skills were useful in combat. Checking the Mirror World skill, he saw it still needed 30% experience to level up. He believes this skill will become even stronger when leveled up. Yunche looked ahead with determined eyes. He decided to head towards the central area, where a giant tree and purple spirit beasts were flying around. Hiding behind a rock, Yunche noticed the enemy's scouting skills were becoming increasingly dense. He glanced ahead, preparing for what was to come. Xiaoji was stunned. While Yunche explained that at school, they never had access to such a lord. Xiaoji marveled, thinking the chains binding the lord must be very high-level equipment. Yunche remained silent, assessing the situation. He thought to himself that with the large number of guards, he couldn't kill the lord at his current level if he were surrounded. Yunche decided to take down the guard first, activating Cunning Blade, which increased his attack by 150%, and lunged to ambush. Yunche stood over the defeated and incapacitated guard. He declared he would begin interrogation to gather information and warned the guard to be truthful. Terrified, the guard immediately agreed to reveal everything, believing that loyalty to the Ding family was not worth his life. Yunche listened in silence. When asked about the pass to the hero's land, the guard revealed that there was a whole stack in the Ding family's ancestor's office. He thought to himself that the person interrogating him must be a fervent fan of the hero from years ago. The guard asserted that he had seen the ancestor take passes and go out with the captain of the guard many times. He further explained that these were all temporary passes, with no personal data recorded, so without an acquaintance to guide them, they would definitely be stopped. Yunche grabbed the guard by the collar and coldly told him that it was none of his business. Then, he ordered the guard to take out everything from his system backpack. Outside the rift, at the Ding family mansion, Yunche and Xiaoji escorted the disarmed guard outside. The guard lamented that the Ding family was very stingy. They collected all dropped items from the rift and only left the guards with leftover. One of these items was a passive skill book, Phase Shift, Reversal, which increased defense by 3% for 10 seconds after being healed. The guard pointed to a large building and stated it was the inner court of the Ding family, a place even guards couldn't enter without a summons. He revealed that, except for Ding Shu, everyone inside was above level 30 with top-tier equipment, making the guards' roles unnecessary. Yunche asked if he could get the pass from the inner court, but the guard frantically warned that the family head was inside. The guard continued to explain the family diagram, stating that the level 57 ancestor and the level 52 third master were currently on a business trip. He warned that if they returned, the situation would become even more dangerous. Yunche calculated mentally, realizing that breaking into the inner court meant facing an opponent far above his level. After gathering enough information, Yunche knocked out the guard and called Qiao Zi. Disguised in the guard's armor, Yun Che instructed Qiao Zhi to stay put, and decided to use a ruse to lure the family head out. Returning inside the rift, Yun Che analyzed that the Ding family used a high-level chain to control the Lord. He reasoned that as long as the Lord remained alive, the rift would not disappear, allowing them to exploit it long-term. Therefore, the key to control lay with the lock on the chain, guarded by only one inattentive guard drinking alcohol. Yun Che quietly approached from behind, thinking this method was only safe when there was no fool stupid enough to unlock it. The area's Lord, equipped with the level 60 combat shackles, roared as the plan to lure the Ding family head out began. The area's Lord, equipped with the level 60 combat shackles, roared as the plan to lure the Ding family head out began. As the Lord went berserk, the guards panicked and shouted about the unexpected chaos. Outside the rift, the Ding family head hastily ordered his troops to advance and provide support. From the shadows, Yun Che, in guard disguise, silently observed his plan unfolding perfectly. After acquiring the level 40 equipment, Yun Che felt confident he could now easily enter the inner court. Meanwhile, at the main gate of the Ding family's inner court, a servant bowed as the second master and young master returned. Ding Hao, level 42, told Ding Shu that picking him up was just on the way. Ding Hao then smiled and politely invited someone named Yun Sha out of the car. Yun Sha and another female friend in school uniforms stepped out of the luxurious car. Ding Hao spread his arms to welcome the guests to his mansion, while another servant bowed his head. Suddenly, Ding Hao's expression turned displeased upon seeing the servant in front of him. Without a word, he kicked the servant. "Don't get in the way," Ding Hao said coldly, then entered with the others, leaving the servant on the ground. Hiding behind a tree, Qiao Zhi in armor witnessed the brutal scene in horror. Yun Che suddenly appeared behind him, asking if Qiao Zhi was afraid to enter because the Ding family had returned. Qiao Zhi turned around, startled, surprised to ask why Yun Che was here so quickly. Yun Che explained that the secret area's Lord was not easily captured, even at level 30. He asserted that without his intervention, the Ding family wouldn't have subdued it so soon, then asked Qiao Zhi what he had seen. Qiao Zhi looked towards the servant being helped up and said, "That person." He revealed the servant's name was Qiao Li, level 17, and he was his uncle. Qiao Zhi began to recount that after Yun Che's rebellion in the past, his family was wiped out. He bitterly said that in a way, it saved them from later humiliation, as Yun Che's eyes flashed purple. In a flashback, a ruined mansion appeared, and Qiao Zhi recounted how the Qiao family had continuously suffered the Empire's malice since then. He continued, revealing that under the hero Ding Kun's secret orders, the bullying became even more brutal. Qiao Zhi bitterly explained that his family had to live in submission and humiliation to survive, all to embellish the heroic family's benevolence. Qiao Zhi bitterly explained that his family had to live in submission and humiliation to survive, all to embellish the heroic family's benevolence. He recalled that the elders in his family had also wanted to change things, like when his father faced the media, but the result was that his father lost his mind and went mad from the pressure, and his uncle, Qiao Li, had become the Ding family's dog. Qiao Zhi doubtfully asked Yun Che if following him was truly the right thing to do. Yun Che firmly replied that he had to enter the inner court. Qiao Zhi hastily warned that Ding Shu's father, a level 42 powerhouse, was inside, and Yun Che would surely die if discovered. With determined eyes, he added that if he hesitated, some things would never be accomplished. With determined eyes, he added that if he hesitated, some things would never be accomplished. Yun Che looked directly at Qiao Zhi and said he could help Qiao Zhi change, but Qiao Zhi had to make his own choice first. Qiao Zhi appeared frightened, wondering if they were truly strong enough to fight such a powerful noble family. He declared that what he wanted to fight was the entire empire, leaving Qiao Zhi stunned. Leaving Qiao Zhi stunned. Meanwhile, at the luxurious Ding family mansion, an unexpected event occurred. Ding Hao sat on the sofa, casually asking how the Rift Lord had escaped. His guest, Yun Sha, politely asked if he was busy, and if they could return another day. Ding Hao waved his hand, saying his brother could handle it, and that compared to a rift, Miss Yun Sha was much more important. He also revealed that his father and third brother were on their way back after hearing of her visit. Eavesdropping from above, Yun Che smirked upon hearing the title hero Ding Kun. Eavesdropping from above, Yun Che smirked upon hearing the title hero Ding Kun. Yun Che observed Yun Sha and realized this girl seemed to hold a very high status. He noticed the girl also shared the Yun surname and wondered about the name Yun Miao. Yun Che thought to himself if this was a mere coincidence. He decided to set aside his speculations and focus on the immediate goal of obtaining the permit. Yun Sha's silent companion glanced around warily. Two maids walked down the hallway, unaware of the intruder's presence. Yun Che hid behind a screen, observing carefully. Once they had passed, he emerged from his hiding spot, his eyes glowing with purple energy. Yun-che leaped from the balcony to the lower floor. At the same time, outside the rift, the Ding family head had subdued the lord and deduced that someone had intentionally released it. Ding Peng, the level 42 family head, reasoned that the perpetrator had disappeared and their objective was not simply a high-level item. He ordered the inner court to be sealed, emphasizing that nothing should disturb the precious young lady who was visiting. In Ding Hao's office, Yun-che wonders about the items he is searching for. He uses the skill, Phase Shift, to unlock a drawer. This skill allows him to pass through small objects for 4 seconds. Inside, Yun-che finds a stack of ledgers, but then he realizes they are high-quality skill books, including Slow Light. Meanwhile, the main gate of the Ding family's inner compound is surrounded by guards. Hidden in the bushes, Xiao Zhe nervously wonders if they have been discovered. He worries that if Yun-che doesn't come out soon, he will lose his chance to escape. The horrific memory of Ding Hao slaughtering his family floods back. Deciding to save himself, Xiao Ji prepares to slip away quietly. But Yun-che appears and places a hand on his shoulder, stopping him. After a moment of decision, Xiao Ji shouts loudly and rushes out of his hiding place. Xiao Zhe continues to run, intentionally drawing all attention to himself. He leaps through a glass window and shouts, telling Yun-che not to get caught. Witnessing this, Yun-che acknowledges that Xiao Ji has surpassed himself and chosen to resist. Yun-che jumps down from a height, taunting the guards that the chains and skill books are with him. Yun-che uses the enhanced skill, Chaos Spikes, to slow down the enemy. Realizing the intent, Ding Hao orders some teams to return and protect the dungeon lord. Xiao Zhe confusedly asks why Yun-che is luring everyone away. Yun-che explains that the fact that all the guards are outside indicates the lord has just been subdued. A major battle occurred to subdue the lord. This means its life force is at its lowest, and killing it now will help Mirror World level up. Meanwhile, in a luxurious lounge, Yun-sha calmly comments on the noise outside to Ding Hao. Ding Hao appears confident, believing his brother can easily handle the intruders. Meanwhile, the Ding family head, Ding Peng, angrily urges his guards to quickly proceed to the lord's location. Another team of guards is ordered to pursue the intruder. Yun-che, with his superior speed, is rushing forward. He mentally notes that he has allocated most of his potential points to agility. Furthermore, he possesses a skill that increases movement speed. Yun-che is confident that at his current level, only level 30 rogues and archers can keep up with him. He quickly reaches the location where the lord is sealed in a weakened state. Suddenly, an elite guard team appears and shouts, demanding they form a battle formation. The Ding family's warriors, mages, and archers quickly take defensive positions. Yun-che immediately unleashes the skill, Chaos Spikes, and purple energy spikes fly towards the enemy. Yun-che realizes that humans do not have as good resistance to status effects as monsters. Immediately, a mage in the formation, affected by the skill, attacks their own teammates. Another guard panics as he sees his comrade afflicted with the chaos status and is amazed by the skill's success rate. Exploiting the chaos, Yun-che charges through their ranks. He dodges past a large warrior, determined to break through the crowd to reach his target. Although restrained by a control skill, the disorder in the enemy ranks causes them to attack each other. Yun-che scoffs at the guards, considering them a disorganized mob with no teamwork. He wonders if a peaceful life has made them weak, while a commander tries to rally the formation. Despite calls to restrain Yun-che, he continues to attack and break through. Just then, Ding Peng, in combat gear, arrives. He declares he will personally deal with Yun-che, his status screen showing him as a level 42 warrior. Ding Peng swings his flaming battle axe, unleashing a powerful aerial attack. Yun-che calmly raises the stolen chain to block the blow. Although not high enough level to equip and gain stat bonuses from the chain, its durability is equivalent to a level 60 item. He uses the recoil from the collision to charge directly towards the weakened lord. Yun-che successfully reaches the level 30 Yumo lord, who is in critical condition. Yun-che declares he will claim all of the lord's experience points. He delivers the finishing blow, causing the Yumo lord to explode into countless fragments. Immediately, a notification appears stating that Yun-che has leveled up 3 times. His status screen confirms he has reached level 20, with significantly improved stats. More importantly, the hidden skill, Mirror World, has also leveled up to 2. Ding Peng screams in rage. The elite guard team immediately surrounds Yunche, who stands amidst the Lord's remains. Yunche calmly checks the information for the level 2 Mirror World skill. Ding Peng screams and unleashes a destructive energy slap. However, Yunche disappears just before the attack hits, leaving the guards stunned. He activated Mirror World, transporting himself into a green crystalline space. Inside this world, Ding Peng and the guards are merely faint illusions. Yunche realizes this is a world within a mirror, with a limited duration. He reaches through the illusion of Ding Peng and notices that everything is reversed left to right compared to reality. As he touches the ground, he feels a tangible fragment. He picks up a mirror shard and receives a notification that this item can be brought out. Yunche understands that at level 2, this skill allows him to bring items from the mirror world outside. The notification explains that these are skills from the main body that he has not yet learned. Yunche deduces that these are the reversed forms of all skills. He realizes he must learn the original skill in the real world to activate them, and level 1 is just a weaker version. He swipes through the control panel, noticing he can pre-select skill combos to learn. While pleased with the ability to plan his development better, Yunche suddenly feels something is wrong. He is surprised to discover the existence of other souls within the mirror world. Suddenly, a skeletal soul erupts in hostile flames and lunges at him. Yunche wonders if these souls turn into undead monsters. He unleashes a massive energy slash to destroy the skeletal soul. After defeating it, he notices it wasn't as strong as it appeared. Unexpectedly, a system notification appears, surprising him. It's an immortal contract, allowing him to sign with the soul to summon it to the outside world, with a limit of 20 contracts. Yunche realizes that after defeating the undead, he can summon them. He understands that level 2 Mirror World allows him to bring not only items, but also undead into the real world. Standing in the surreal space, Yunche finds this new discovery fascinating. Meanwhile, the Ding family guards are confused because the secret realm has disappeared and the intruder has not appeared. One guard wonders how he could have vanished, speculating it was a stealth skill. Another guard with purple hair refutes this, stating their stealth skills have limits and cannot be bypassed. Ding Peng angrily grabs the purple-haired guard's face, roaring and demanding to know why an entire army let one person escape. While he is still threatening to make his subordinates pay, Yunche suddenly appears directly behind him. Both Ding Peng and the soldier were stunned to see him. Yunche calmly analyzed that the time limit for Mirror Domain had expired, and he was contemplating the conditions for returning. Ding Peng snapped back to reality, shouting orders for his soldiers to attack. "No need to rush," Yunche said, as a green energy gathered in his hand. "After being surrounded for so long, I deserve a little payback," he declared and unleashed a horde of spectral undead. The Ding family soldiers panicked at the unexpected sight. A commander reassured them, telling them not to panic, as they were just undead monsters he had seen plenty of. A soldier raised his shield to block an attack from a skeleton. He was surprised to see its status bar appear, showing it was just a level 20 undead bone spirit. The commander scoffed, saying he told them not to panic. He ordered a counterattack and promised a pay raise to anyone who captured Yunche, causing the soldiers to cheer excitedly. But as they looked around, Yunche had once again vanished. From a rocky outcrop, Yunche observed and realized his undead army was still too weak. He wished he had higher-level undead to easily wipe out the soldiers. He realized the bigger issue was that Mirror Domain had boundaries, only allowing movement within a 200-meter radius. Yunche calculated that next time he needed to enter Mirror Domain from a different location to find higher-level undead. Immediately, he burst from the bushes, heading towards a guard who was apprehending Qiao Ji. The guard taunted Qiao Ji, saying he had hidden well, and wondered what reward he would get for capturing him. Yunche moved like a phantom, taking down 2 guards with a single strike. Qiao Ji stared in shock at the chaotic scene unfolding before him. Yunche grabbed Qiao Ji and declared a retreat, pulling him away from the encirclement. After causing chaos, Yunche decided it was time to return and take stock of his spoils. One guard commented that these specters were not strong. The level 20 skeleton burst into flames with blue fire, regenerating right before the enemy's eyes. Dinga, level 52, appeared, calmly analyzing that they were just summons and could be destroyed if attacked continuously. In the inner courtyard, Ding Dan, the Great Elder, asked if Yun Miao had returned. Ding Peng bowed his head in apology to his father, stating he couldn't keep her as the intruder was too arrogant. He not only shouted outside but also broke windows to barge in. He berated Ding Peng for failing to capture the intruder, not even knowing what he looked like, and Ding Peng could only accept the blame. He berated Ding Peng for failing to capture the intruder, not even knowing what he looked like, and Ding Peng could only accept the blame. However, Ding Peng reported that Yunsha had agreed to go to the hero's trial, considering his grandfather's matter resolved. Ding Dan remained resentful, vowing to kill the intruder once he was found. He ordered Ding Peng to check if anything else had been stolen. What was taken was a temporary trial pass bearing Qiaoji's name. Back in safety, Yunche held the card in his hand, thinking he still needed someone to guide him into the hero's trial. He told himself it wasn't urgent, and was satisfied with leveling up to 20 on his trip to the Ding family. He realized all the incantation skills were support skills. Information on 2 skills appeared. One boosting critical stats, the other defense, making him realize he could use them to stack stats. With new stats and permanently strengthening passive skills, Yunche was confident he could crush opponents of the same level. Additionally, the Lord had dropped an equipment, the level 30 Corrupted Knight's armor, which he planned to use later. After upgrading Mirror Domain to level 2, Yunche's power had increased thanks to the summoned spirits. However, he realized this power was still insufficient to face the hero Ding Kun, who was at least an S-rank berserker. Yunche told himself he needed to reach above level 50 and sign contracts with spirits of the same level to have a chance of killing him, while Qiao Zhu sat beside him, anxiously asking if they would be pursued. Yunche reassured him that they had lost their pursuers and had not revealed their faces. Despite this, Qiao Zhu could not hide his unease. Seeing this, Yunche understood the boy's anxiety and began asking about the next plan. He asked Qiaoji if he knew of any nearby trials where strong individuals had perished, as he wanted to find a high-level place to level up. Qiaoji thought for a moment and replied that there was such a place, but he hesitated, adding that it was a school trial, and there was no way to sneak in. He decided he would have to resort to some special methods. In a private mansion, a middle-aged man was surprised to receive a rare purple skill book for his Wanderer class. He realized Yunche must have some backing, but was still puzzled, because entry into the school's trial was already scheduled and couldn't have exceptions. However, he thought of a loophole. The trial was currently open to final-year students. Although underclassmen usually didn't qualify, if a student was exceptionally outstanding, a teacher could nominate them. The teacher promised to do his best to secure this opportunity, and then the scene shifted to the entrance of a massive trial, where students were gathered. A red-haired student named Xiao Xie excitedly declared he would seize this last chance to grind monsters. Another student expressed gratitude for the gift the hero had bestowed upon them. Yunche stood observing, feeling something was off about this trial. The teacher explained that this was the hero's trial, a gift from a hero, and that traces of his past battles might still remain within. Qiao Ji stood behind Yunche, quietly observing. Qiao Ji hesitated, unsure whether to tell Yunche about this. The teacher warned that the trial's level was quite high, requiring everyone to be careful, and then assigned Xiao Xie to accompany Yunche and Xiao Zhe. Urged by the teacher, Xiao Xie reluctantly entered the portal, while another student wondered why there were underclassmen present. Xiao Xie grumbled irritably about having to babysit 2 freeloaders. He turned and warned Yunche and Xiao Ji to stay behind and not be a hindrance, or they would be left behind. Upon entering, Yunche sensed the trial's level was between 20 and 40, and an extreme sense of danger washed over him. Inside the heroic trial, a group of trainees enters a crystal cave towards the space gate. Yunche suddenly senses the presence of Yunsha and her companion, Yunyin. He wonders why 2 junior students like them could be here. Another senior student also notices Yunche and Xiaoji, mocking them as juniors. That student daydreams about teaming up with Yunsha, thinking the girls would energize him. He continues to indulge in his fantasy with a lustful expression. A companion wearing full armor reminds him to stop daydreaming, as Yunsha's group is far stronger than theirs. Being told directly that he's not on the same level, the student awkwardly admits he was just joking. Just then, Yunsha and Yunyin walk past, surprising him. The 2 of them bypass the other students and head straight for Yunche. Yunsha stops in front of Yunche, scrutinizing him and wondering who he is. Yunche recalls seeing her as a guest of the Ding family and is wary of her intentions. Yunsha states she saw him at the memorial, complimenting his skills and especially his voice, making Yunche wonder if she knew the original owner of this body. Confused by her remarks, Yunche thinks she might just be making small talk. With glowing eyes, Yunsha smiles and says it was precisely that voice that made it easy for her to recognize him amidst the sound of shattering glass. Yunche is shocked to realize she knows he's the Ding family intruder, while Yunsha changes into her combat attire and ends the conversation. Along with Yunyin, who has also changed and drawn her weapons, Yunsha declares they will begin exploring the trial. Yunche reflects on how Yunsha recognized him, but chose to give a private warning instead of exposing him. He takes it as a reminder, as Ding Shu might also have recognized their voices. However, Yun Che remains confident that as long as the Ding family doesn't act too soon, his leveling speed will soon resolve any concerns. In return for Yunsha's kindness, Yun Che decides to warn her as well. He tells Yunsha and her companion to be careful, as the trial emanates a dangerous aura. The black-haired maid agrees, feeling something strange that at her level, she shouldn't be able to sense. Yunsha smiles and thanks Yun Che for the reminder. Witnessing this, a senior student wonders why Yunsha, who is usually distant, is being so friendly with Yun Che. Others in the group are also curious, surrounding Yun Che and asking about his relationship with Yunsha, hoping for an introduction. Yun Che politely declines and says he and Xiao Ji need to go. One student is astonished, warning that at their low level, they could die at the hands of a basic monster in this level 20 area. However, Xiaoxie, the group leader, orders everyone to let them go. He reasons that if Yun Che is close to Yunsha, he can't possibly be low level. Another female student in the group is still hesitant, recalling Teacher Lai's instructions to look after the two of them. Xiaoxie snaps, reminding the group not to forget their true purpose for coming here, and that the fewer people know about this place, the better. He adds that they don't want to share the precious crystals, and besides, everyone has an emergency flare, so they should just leave them be. Still, Xiaoxie inwardly seethes that an unknown person could be so close to Yunsha. He coldly thinks that if Yun Che overestimates himself, he deserves to die. Meanwhile, at the entrance to the trial, a different scene is unfolding. A guard recognizes Ding Shu rushing over and asks why he's here. Ding Su grabs the man by the collar, demanding to know about a group that just entered. His eyes burn with rage as he thinks of Yun Che and Xiao Zi. In another scene, Second Master Ding Hao mocks Ding Shu, telling him not to blame others just because he was beaten at the memorial. Ding Hao coldly tells Ding Shu he doesn't have time to deal with his petty issues, but Ding Shu insists it was those intruders. Ding Peng appears skeptical, suggesting that if the intruders could escape him and so many guards, they couldn't possibly be students. Ding Ge also adds, demanding Ding Su prove the intruders are stronger than the guards, otherwise he can't help. Ding Dan impatiently cuts in, ordering Ding Shu to be silent as they are discussing business. Ignored, Ding Shu angrily grabs a soldier by the collar, roaring that he will also enter the trial where Yun Che and Xiao Ji have gone. Meanwhile, inside the heroic trial, a group of trainees along with Yun Che and Xiao Ji enter a crystal cave, heading towards the teleportation gate. Immediately upon entering, Yun Che is confronted by a giant crystal monster and dodges its attack. The monster fires a powerful magic energy beam from its chest. It creates a cage of light beams, trapping Yun Che inside. Trapped, Yun Che shouts for Xiao Ji, asking him to use his shield ring skill. Instantly, golden winged shields appear, rotating around Yun Che to protect him. Xiao Ji continues to use his rallying cry, increasing Yun Che's attack power and attack speed by 5%. The crystal monster roars, preparing for another attack. Empowered and protected, Yun Che charges straight at the monster. He activates his Trickster Blade skill, increasing his attack power by 70% to deliver the finishing blow. After defeating the monster, a notification appears stating Yun Che has leveled up, reaching level 21. Xiao Zhe also exclaims joyfully as he sees he has leveled up once again. Xiao Ji's character status screen appears, confirming he has reached level 11. Yun Che explains that the shield ring and rallying cry skills were both practical skills Xiao Ji learned from the Ding family's skill books. Standing over the monster's corpse, Yun Che muses that, although the monsters here are high level, Xiao Ji's skills have been very helpful. Yun Che tells Xiao Ji that according to the teacher, there is a rare monster in this trial called the Obsidian Beast. Defeating it has a chance to drop a support skill called Gravitational Pull. Yun Che thinks this is the skill he marked as a must-learn in the mirror world. He realizes that in this trial, there are not only obsidian beasts but also wandering spirits. Yun Che wonders where the powerful individuals who died in this trial are, as their spirits might still linger around. While hoping to find them in the higher regions, he suddenly senses something. On a cliff face, another type of crystal monster with pinkish-purple energy appears. Yun Che recalls his brief conversation with Yun Sha, who recognized him from just a few words and quickly left. Yun Sha said they would explore separately and waved goodbye. Back in the present, Xiao Zhe is astonished to see many elite-level radiant stone beasts moving together. Yun Che remarks that they have traveled at least a kilometer, far beyond the range of normal monsters, and concludes they are of the wandering type. Wandering types are rare monsters in trials, not appearing in fixed locations but moving around. Their strength is also much higher than normal monsters. The narration explains that when humanity was not yet strong enough, encountering a wandering type meant preparing for a fierce battle. This is because they can even travel outside of the trial. They have caused countless tragic disasters related to trials in the past. However, commensurate with their danger, Defeating them yields much higher experience and quality items. Chaoji exclaims in worry that these monsters are too strong, as Yunche charges directly into the middle of the Radiant Stone Beasts. Yunche charges at a Radiant Stone Beast, deciding to just probe their strength first. He is surprised to find that this level 30 monster has a continuous HP regeneration skill. Suddenly, two beasts simultaneously fire magic energy beams at him. With their speed and dense attack frequency, Yunche cannot dodge all of them and gets injured. He realizes that in this situation, mere speed cannot help him avoid all attacks. Seeing his HP drop, Yunche silently thanks Chaoji's shield ring skill for saving him from severe injury. To hold on, Yunche summons his skeletal undead army. However, the level 23 bone spirits cannot hold back the monsters and are quickly destroyed. Yunche notes that fortunately, their movement speed is quite slow, so he decides to retreat. He knows that his HP and defense cannot be improved immediately. Yunche comes up with a new plan. He will rely on Chaoji's leveling to gain more defense, and have him hunt normal monsters first. He leads Chaoji to an area with many level 20 crystal monsters to help him level up. Yunche observes Chaoji, musing that a shield user is an indispensable frontliner in a team. Other classes can safely deal damage when protected by a tank. He had Chaoji put all his stat points into defense and equipped him with the armor obtained from the Ding family guards. Now, Chaoji has core defensive capabilities, enough to block the attacks of level 20 monsters. Yunche stands behind, instructing Chaoji on how to hold his ground and maintain offense. Following the instructions, Chaoji swings his shield towards the attack and successfully blocks it. Chaoji joyfully notices that the shield's durability decreased less this time. As the monster attacks again, Chaoji blocks while receiving a notification that he is leveled up to 11. Yunche breaks through the crystal monster's attack to protect Chaoji. He sternly instructs, "Always pay attention to the enemy's next attack. Don't swing your shield too much." Yunche continues to guide. "Keep your body relaxed and only tense up at the moment of defense." He places his hand on Chaoji's chest and urges, "Continue." Standing behind Chaoji, Yunche reminds him that a shield bearer's role is to be aware of teammates behind them. Chaoji responds with a determined expression. In actual combat, Yunche emphasizes that when the power difference is not large, technique will determine victory or defeat. After defeating a swarm of monsters, a level up notification appears. The status screen shows Yunche has reached level 22. Thanks to this, Chaoji can now confidently face enemies and gain more experience. He happily announces he has reached level 15, officially becoming a shield bearer. Chaoji is finally eligible to learn the rare skill Shield Armor from the book he picked up. This is the last skill book he can learn from the Ding family's loot. Yunche summons green energy shields, showcasing a new ability. Chaoji's Shield Armor skill can also enhance summoned skeletons, strengthening the entire team's defense. With this power, Yunche is confident they are strong enough to deal with an elite wandering monster in the Crystal Pillar Canyon. Meanwhile, on a cliffside, three strangers observe an elite monster horde and worry about their numbers. They are identified as the teacher team, Zhuangjung, Lei Li, and Lei En, and they decide to handle this threat. Lei En admits they can handle a normal level 30 monster. Before they can act, a student's emergency signal is suddenly fired into the sky. Lei Li stresses that rescuing students is the top priority, but Lei En worries about the danger of the wandering monster horde. Zhuangjung suggests he will stay behind to guard against any unforeseen circumstances. Lei Li agrees to let Zhuangjung stay and watch. Unexpectedly, Yunche speaks up, stating that two teachers going for rescue is not enough, and that he and Chaoji will stay to monitor the monsters. Yunche reassures them that the monsters are slow-moving and haven't detected them yet, urging the teachers to leave quickly. The three teachers look at each other in silence, considering Yunche's proposal. Finally, they agree and start running, but Lei Li doesn't forget to turn back and tell them not to act alone. As the teachers move away, Yunche watches them with eyes glowing purple, thinking to himself that the monsters are the ones who cannot escape. Their warning still echoes, telling the two students to hide well if they don't want to be caught. Yunche confidently asserts that the monsters are the ones who cannot escape. Immediately, a radiant stone beast fires a magic energy beam, but Yunche summons a skeleton to block it. Chaoji quickly assists, using the skills Shield Surround and Shield Armor to enhance the skeleton. The energy beam collides violently with the skeleton, which has been reinforced by the green magic shield. Despite being enhanced, the skeleton is shattered by the powerful attack. Yunche immediately unleashes another move, creating a purple energy net that binds the monster. He lunges forward and delivers a powerful punch to the restrained monster, causing its crystal body to crack. While continuing his attack, Yunche notices the monster's health bar is nearly depleted. A final decisive blow causes the Radiant Stone Beast's body to completely shatter. The level 30 monster explodes in a brilliant column of light as its health bar reaches 0. Yunche is satisfied, thinking he has successfully defeated a wandering type monster and feels increasingly suited for this profession. In a brief flashback, Yun-che compares his current strength to his past life, when he could face an entire army alone. He realizes that, although the reverse skills increase attack power, the basic strength of a support profession is still too weak, and he desires more offensive power. Returning to reality, he stands amidst the ruins of the defeated monster. Before him lies the drop item named Soldier's Oath. A notification appears, stating he is leveled up again due to the abundant experience from the rare elite monster. Yun-che steps forward to pick up the dropped items. After the system confirms the loot has been collected, his eyes gleam with curiosity. He is astonished to see a crystal longsword with an additional attack power of 552 points. Yun-che smiles with satisfaction, thinking this weapon will perfectly compensate for his basic attack power weakness. Gripping the new sword, which radiates powerful energy, he believes future battles will be much easier. However, he regrets that the skill book, Gravitational Pull, did not drop, indicating its low drop rate. Suddenly, a bright pink emergency signal flashes in the distant sky, catching Yun-che's attention. Elsewhere, a muscular, blonde teacher recognizes it as a special emergency signal meant only for the teacher team. The teacher grinds his teeth, his face tense as he firmly grips his golden shield. Upon arrival, he exclaims in horror at the sight of countless wandering monsters gathering in a valley. A chaotic scene unfolds with a massive monster horde surrounding a group of people holding their ground within a barrier. Among the arriving rescue team, a curly-haired teacher asks what happened, given the terrifying sight. Zhuangjung explains to Yun-sha that they also came here following the signal to help. He points towards the cave and confirms the signal originated from there, suggesting someone might be trapped inside. Meanwhile, an armored person inside the barrier desperately reports that rescue efforts are failing due to the overwhelming number of monsters. A mage in the rescue team invites Yun-sha and Yun-yin to join them. Yun-sha immediately agrees, stating it is their duty. She prepares to cast a skill, a bright golden star glowing in her hand. Yun-sha unleashes an area of effect skill called Stargazing Esoterica, creating magic circles on the ground. The rescue team members are empowered, and a red-haired female warrior exclaims in surprise that this buff is at least epic grade. Yun-sha proceeds to use another skill, Gravitational Pressure, on a stone monster. Immediately after, Yun-yin unleashes the finishing blow, Hidden Stab, completely destroying the level 30 monster. Witnessing their power, a student exclaims with hope, believing they can now rescue those trapped. Yun-che observes from afar, mentally assessing that the rescue team is capable of handling the situation without him. He wonders what caused such a large number of wandering monsters to gather here. Yun-che decides to enter the cave himself to investigate, and tells Chao Zhi to stay outside. He activates the Mirror Realm movement skill, his body becoming blurry as he phases through the crystal wall. Inside the Mirror Realm, Yun-che realizes the crystal environment allows him to freely enter and exit this space. He recalls the incident at the Ding family's house, where his skill expired, and he couldn't re-enter. Yun-che concludes his thoughts, confirming that he cannot reactivate the skill immediately after it expires. Within the Mirror Realm, he notices something strange. Humans have reflections, but monsters do not. However, the monsters' corpses still exist, leading him to speculate that he is the only living being with a physical form in this space. Accompanied by his summoned spirits, Yun-che ventures deeper into the cave within the Mirror Realm. He sees the reflections of the trapped individuals and recognizes someone named Ye Xiaoxie. Yun-che analyzes that the group inadvertently attracted the horde and is currently using the narrow terrain to hold their ground safely. Inside the cave in the Mirror Realm, Yun-che wonders what attracted so many wandering monsters. He is suddenly astonished to discover something unexpected. His eyes clearly show surprise. Before him lies a special crystal ore deposit, and he understands this is why Xiaoxie's group entered this cave. Dungeons often produce special items not found in the outside world. Life-type professions can use them to craft equipment, accessories, and other special items. Yun-che realizes these ores are more valuable than gold. Upon touching it, a system panel appears, identifying it as mirror crystal ore that can be brought back to the real world. He is amazed by the ability to return to the real world from here. He wonders if this is true. A confident smile appears as he realizes that as long as there is a reflective surface, he can return to the real world from there. After collecting a piece of ore, he thinks he needs time to study this skill further, but for now, he decides to continue exploring this place. He remarks that the amount of ore here is unusual, enough to make an ordinary person a millionaire. The scene shifts back to the real world, where Yun-sha uses the gravitational pressure skill to attack a giant crystal monster. Immediately after, Yun-yin lunges forward with a dual-blade attack. A teacher in the rescue team exclaims in surprise that their skills are too powerful, even more so than the teachers. The combined attack shatters the monster's crystal shell. The trapped individuals inside look out as the rock imprisoning them crumbles. A student joyfully shouts that they are finally saved. An armored person breathed a sigh of relief, thinking they had narrowly escaped death. Yun-yin warned that no one should let their guard down as they still needed to fight their way out, with everyone already exhausted. Yunsha commented that the current situation was easier than before, regardless. Suddenly, Yunsha's eyes narrowed, as she sensed something unusual. 2 other members of the rescue team were also astonished as they looked ahead. They discovered a massive rift filled with purple crystals and monster carcasses. Inside, a sea of wandering-type monsters was gathering, making them wonder if all of this type had converged here. Meanwhile, Yunche had entered the mirror world. The space inside appeared as a distorted crystal world, with interwoven bands of light. Yunche walked alone, remarking that this place resembled a labyrinth. He suddenly stopped as he sensed an energy source ahead. Before him was a colossal crystal structure emitting a brilliant green light. Yunche marveled, wondering if this was the hidden treasure of the dungeon. If ores were special products of the dungeon, then this crystal core was the only hidden treasure. Hidden treasures were the crystallized essence of all products, formed over a long period and extremely rare. An ordinary person might never see it in their lifetime. Yunche smiled, knowing that hidden treasures always had special functions, and a status window appeared for the item, Mirror Crystal Core. He analyzed its benefits: increased base stats, damage reduction, increased HP cap, and faster mana recovery. He smirked, realizing the most crucial part was the ability to reduce light and lightning elemental damage by 20%. Yunche concluded that percentage-based damage reduction was extremely rare, and it didn't take up an equipment slot. But then he felt something was off. Yunche deduced that a hidden treasure would surely be guarded by a monster far stronger than the wandering types. He decided to use the crystal core and leave, but a system notification appeared, surprising him. Suddenly, the scene shifted to a group of teachers and students, looking up at the sky in horror as the ground shook violently. Yunsha and Yunyin were also present, their faces filled with worry at the sudden upheaval. A colossal monster made of dark purple stone and crystals appeared, looming and obscuring the sky above them. The entire group recognized it as the Wandering Lord, a terrifying hidden boss. This boss was a rare entity, completely independent of the dungeon's usual lords. It swung its massive fist, preparing to unleash a devastating blow on the group below. Its power far surpassed any lord, and was completely beyond the capabilities of the teachers or students to handle. Trapped in the encirclement, the group panicked, wondering why such a high-level monster would appear here. A male and female student screamed in despair, believing they would all perish. Amidst the chaos, Yunsha, however, wore a determined smile. She loudly urged everyone to remain calm, emphasizing that escaping together was the most important thing. Yunsha pointed towards a ravine, identifying it as the only path out of this death trap. She confidently asserted that once they were out, they would easily escape. Utilizing the skill, Stargazing Esoterica, Yunsha ordered everyone to put all their strength into charging towards the ravine. A muscular blonde teacher responded, activating his Rotating Light Shield skill, and declaring they had to get the students out. The brave teacher took the lead, promising they would take turns guiding the way. He charged directly into the low-level monsters, using his shield to clear a path for those behind him. Immediately, a female mage with a fan cast a buffing spell, increasing the power of the vanguard. Surrounded by a sea of monsters, the muscular teacher shouted encouragement to his teammates. He used his shield to create a shockwave, pushing back the enemies and shouting, "Hang in there, we're almost there." From behind, the Wandering Lord used the skill, Battle Cry. Rally. Numerous new stone monsters emerged from the ground in response to the call. Its army grew larger and larger, ready to crush the survivors. Overwhelmed by numbers, a desperate teacher cried out, "Damn it! Where did these monsters come from now?" The boss continued to cast the Jeweled Light Circle skill. A giant magic circle in the sky blessed the monsters, increasing their HP, attack, and defense by 20%. A warrior was blown away, exclaiming in shock at the monster's suddenly increased strength. Lei Li, another teacher, was hit multiple times and couldn't heal fast enough against the overwhelming damage. He desperately cried for help as a series of energy beams pierced his body. Witnessing the horrifying scene, a student panicked and screamed that the teacher was dead. Amidst the chaos, Yunsha quickly took command, ordering the shield warriors to the front and the healers to focus on healing them. She thought to herself that the entire team was exhausted while the boss hadn't even truly started fighting. Zhuangzheng, another teacher, lost all hope and believed they would never break through the encirclement. He activated his stealth skill, his body becoming ethereal. Zhuangzheng decided it would be better for everyone to find their own way out. But as he was about to sneak away, the Wandering Lord's giant hand hovered directly above him. The muscular teacher shouted a warning to others not to follow, as the stealth duration wouldn't be enough to escape. Immediately, more stone monsters emerged from the ground, blocking the only escape route. Discovered while trying to escape, Zhuangzheng looked up in panic. The Wandering Lord roared, accumulating energy, and aiming directly at the deserter, while another teacher shouted a warning. A massive purple energy beam was fired, destroying the ground. Lei Li watched in horror, exclaiming that the Lord had incinerated Zhuangjung to ashes. The aftermath of the attack was a giant crystal ravine, with countless glowing monsters below. A curly-haired teacher realized the attack not only killed people, but also collapsed the ravine. He despaired, exclaiming that this attack power was insane, and they had no way out. The Wandering Lord roared again, purple energy surrounding its body. The curly-haired teacher realized in horror that this time, the main target was their entire group. As the giant energy beam hurtled towards them, everyone scrambled to prepare their defenses. 2 massive shields were summoned, including the stone shield. Information appeared showing the stone shield as a level 70. Epic-grade equipment with 3,000 defense points. The 2 shields formed a solid wall to withstand the incoming attack. The muscular teacher shouted loudly, calling for those with high strength to hold the line together. Yunsha calmly assessed that this level 70 shield was very reliable, but she also pointed out its weakness. Due to its high level, no one could equip it properly, and it was difficult to move. They could only buy time, while a student wondered why the school's dungeon had such a monster. Amidst the chaos, Leilai angrily blamed another teacher, believing that person had led them into this situation. The muscular teacher gritted his teeth, thinking his previous efforts to save everyone were about to go to waste. Amidst despair, he found a small comfort, hoping that those 2 children hadn't been caught in this tragedy. The muscular teacher was astonished to see Qiaozhi suddenly appear before him. He was stunned, wondering how Qiaozhi had crossed the valley to get here. Seeing the Wandering Lord preparing to attack, the teacher quickly shouted a warning. Qiaozhi immediately cast his defensive skill, Shield Ring type armor. A large energy shield was erected, temporarily blocking the monster's attack. However, the teacher realized the surrounding defenses had already been broken. He despaired, thinking no one could hold back these wandering monsters anymore. Just then, Qiaozhi charged forward, using his body to shield the teacher. The teacher was stunned by the unexpected strength the student displayed. He bitterly realized that all the guards' shields had already shattered. Their defenses completely collapsed as Qiaozhi's shield also broke, sending him flying back. Qiaozhi fell to the ground, severely injured. As the Wandering Lord raised its fist to finish him, the teacher watched the scene with despair, thinking it was all over. Suddenly, a figure lunged forward with terrifying speed, slicing through the monster's fist. The teacher couldn't believe his eyes at this sudden intervention. Yunche, with his purple energy sword in hand, stood on the monster's corpse and praised Qiaozhi for doing a good job. Despite his injuries, Qiaozhi looked up and called out Yunche's name. Yunche smiled confidently, his eyes glowing purple, and told him to leave the rest to him. In a flashback, Yunche stood before a massive crystal core in the real world. He realized that, with the existence of this original, he could use the mirror world to double the benefits gained. Inside the mirror world, Yunche realized the problem was that these crystal ores were too difficult to bring out. The system announced that bringing out 75 crystal ores would consume 750 minutes of mirror realm movement time, exceeding the allowed limit. He understood that each crystal cost 10 minutes, so he decided to use the most valuable mirror crystal core on the spot. By using both the original and the copy, Yunche received double the stat bonuses, including 20 stamina and 40% elemental resistance. Suddenly, Yunche felt an unusual tremor from the outside world. He became alert, wondering about the source of the earthquake. As the ground shook more violently, he worried that something had happened. Yunche decided to test if he could still return from the mirror world. He could still enter the mirror realm movement space, with 12 minutes and 54 seconds remaining. Yunche smiled confidently, realizing he could freely enter and exit as long as time had not run out. He understood that once the usage time was depleted, the skill would enter its cooldown period. The mirror space shattered as he prepared to return to the real world. A system notification confirmed Yunche had escaped the mirror world. Upon returning, he was shocked to see a massive army of monsters, and thought the number was too unusual. Yunche looked up and realized the leader was the Wandering Lord, the source of the danger. He immediately worried that Qiaozhi and the others were in danger. Facing the colossal boss, an idea flashed through Yunche's mind as he recalled his abilities. He activated his skill, once again entering the mirror world space. Realizing he could easily dodge the attacks, Yunche instantly appeared behind the Wandering Lord. With his current level 24, Yunche was confident in facing the enemy. In the chaotic space, Yunche calculated that his total magic was 140, allowing his attack power to increase up to 330%. He noticed that although the sword attack increased by 180% was insane, it was still not enough to counter the Wandering Lord. Inside the mirror world, Yunche determined that he needed to reach at least level 30 to proceed. The space within the mirror world was filled with reflections of fallen warriors. As soon as he exited the mirror world, Yunche charged into the middle of the stone monsters, unleashing a barrage of slashes. Standing on the rubble, he praised Qiaozhi for doing a great job. Qiaozhi, covered in injuries, reached out and told Yunche to leave the rest to him. Once again, Yunche stepped out of the mirror space, showcasing his teleportation ability. He soared into the air, charging towards the Wandering Lord and shouting, asking anyone with support skills to empower him. Yunche declared he would handle the wandering monsters alone. In response to the call, a blonde female mage used the Star Trick magic skill. Xiaoji also activated the shield ring-type armor to provide support from a distance. Empowered with mental strength and 20% attack power, Yunche continued to sweep the battlefield. He confidently thought that thanks to the crystal core, his HP was much higher, and he was no longer in real danger. During the fight, Yunche realized these monsters were immune to the chaos effect. Otherwise, he could have eliminated them faster. The teachers and other warriors watched from afar, horrified by Yunche's power. Lei An and Xiaoji couldn't believe a spellblade could have such high attack power and constantly teleport around. Lei An breathed a sigh of relief, admitting that he was genuinely worried about Yunche earlier. Yunche moved like a phantom, relentlessly cutting down the stone monsters. After eliminating countless enemies, a notification appeared stating he had leveled up, making him realize leveling up was much faster, with many rare monsters. Watching from afar, the white-robed female mage was astonished. He silently thought that Yunche's power far exceeded her initial imagination. Another black-haired female warrior also watched silently, sweat streaming down her tense face. Meanwhile, Yunche continuously entered and exited the mirror world to attack, causing the system to announce he had leveled up twice. He leveled up once more, reaching level 28 with his health and energy bars fully restored. A muscular blonde teacher was amazed by Yunche's power, and realized he had met him before. He was stunned to remember Yunche was just a student, causing his teammate next to him to scream in shock. The Wandering Lord roared, accumulating a massive energy orb in its chest. Two teachers panicked and shouted that it was about to attack again. The colossal monster fired a destructive energy beam towards Yunche. Yunche told himself that if he were hit by that attack, he surely wouldn't survive. He observed the monster as it moved while maintaining its attack. Yunche worried that once it got close, even the two defensive shields wouldn't be able to protect the teachers. The muscular teacher urged everyone to seize the opportunity to break through to another exit. He worried it would be too late if the boss got close, and thought even Yunche couldn't fight it alone. Another teacher pointed out that moving the bulky shields would expose them to attacks. The pink-haired female warrior agreed, saying the shields were too heavy and could only be carried if stored in inventory. While everyone hesitated, Yunche declared he would solve the problem. He offered to attack the monster to draw its attention, creating an opportunity for others to escape. The muscular teacher was stunned, asking Yunche about his fate if they ran away. Yunche explained that if the Wandering Lord wasn't dealt with, it would gather all the monsters and advance into the outside world. He emphasized that almost every past catastrophe was caused by a Wandering Lord. Therefore, Yunche declared he would stay to eliminate the monster, while his enhancement skills were still active. Meanwhile, the muscular teacher urged everyone to escape quickly, worried that Yunche would soon be exhausted. He believed that, if they escaped quickly, Yunche would also have a chance to retreat. Lei En was skeptical, thinking Yunche was just lying about defeating the boss to reassure them, as it was a powerful Wandering Lord. While fleeing, Xiaoji looked back with concern, blaming himself for being helpless and silently wishing Yunche no harm. Staying alone, Yunche quickly eliminated the small monsters and successfully leveled up. Immediately after, the Wandering Lord fired a massive energy beam, but Yunche used mirror realm movement to dodge it. He exited the mirror world, appearing right beside the giant monster's feet. Yunche unleashed a powerful slash at the Wandering Lord's leg. However, he realized its defense was too high, and the minor damage was immediately healed by its recovery skill. Yunche looked up, confirming his true target was the monster's head. He deduced that the crystal on its head was its core, and also its weak point. Yunche charged to attack but realized his strength was still insufficient to break through its defenses. Pushed back, he looked at his status screen and saw the enhancement effects from his teammates were about to expire. Yunche muttered that the buffs were about to disappear and his energy was insufficient to maintain the skills anymore. With determination in his eyes, he decided he needed to level up first. Suddenly, a brilliant purple light emanated from a nearby cave. Yunche turned, surprised to discover the mysterious light source. The Wandering Lord unleashed a massive energy attack towards Yunche. Inside the mirror world, Yunche was horrified to realize the boss could predict his appearance location. As soon as he exited the mirror world, he was immediately hit by a purple energy blast. Yunche was hit by a widespread consecutive attack and continuously lost health. He realized the mirror realm movement time was running out and would soon be depleted if only used for dodging. He decided he could only use the zombie army to block the attack. However, summoning would consume a lot of energy, leaving him insufficient to build up attack power afterward. Facing the boss's devastating punch, Yunche considered retreating to recover. Suddenly, He turned back and saw Qiaoji and the group of mages and warriors had returned. The white-robed female mage explained that Qiaoji had pleaded with them to return and assist. Qiaoji shyly corrected her, saying he only saw that the monsters had decreased and the others were capable of escaping. Yunche smiled and sincerely thanked them. The female mage suggested they would hold off the dangerous boss to allow Yunche to retreat slowly. But Yunche refused, turning back to face the boss. He declared that with their help, he no longer needed to hold back. Immediately, a notification appeared, stating Yunche had leveled up to 30. He confidently asserted that his attack power was now sufficient. Yunche equipped a new item, the Fallen Knight's Armor, which required level 30. The female mage doubtfully asked if he intended to attack the boss's weak point, as it was at an unreachable height. Yunche held up a pair of new armored boots, smiling and saying he finally had what he had always desired. The new boots grant the skill Gravitational Draw, which can pull objects towards the user. The reversed version of this skill, Gravitational Draw, Reverse, instead pulls the user towards the target, and Yunche confidently declares everything is within his control. He channels energy into the armored boot and activates the skill. Instantly, Yunche is propelled like an arrow, shooting straight towards Wandering Lord's head. The white-robed mage and Yunyin can only stare in disbelief at the unbelievable scene. Wandering Lord counterattacks by firing a barrage of purple energy beams at Yunche, but he dodges them all, the energy beams exploding on the ground as he closes in on the target. Yunche lands a powerful kick, shattering the crystal on the monster's head. He is caught in the shockwave explosion, continuously losing health but gritting his teeth to endure. The crystal shatters, and a notification appears showing Yunche has reached level 30, with very low health remaining. The system announces he has defeated Wandering Lord, earning 5,000 experience, the title Wandering Slayer, and 2 legendary skill books. Thanks to the massive experience gain, Yunche levels up 3 times consecutively, reaching level 33. Witnessing this, Qiaozhe and Yunyin exclaim in amazement that Yunche single-handedly defeated the terrifying monster. Yunche rejoices at the sight of the 2 legendary items that just dropped. He wonders curiously what these items are. Suddenly, the mage shouts a warning that the colossal monster is collapsing on him. Yunche quickly leaps off the collapsing body of Wandering Lord. As the monster falls, it shatters, revealing a massive hollow cavity within its body. Yunche stares in shock into the dark void, realizing the monster was actually hollow. Standing on the edge, he sees the remains of both humans and wandering monsters, speculating that an even stronger Wandering Lord was born here. Yunche realizes this is why there were such fierce battle scars. He looks up at the Crystal Mountain peak, where a solitary figure stands tall. A system notification appears on the warrior's body, confirming Qiao En's death. From below, Yunche looks up at the hero's remains on the mountain peak. The warrior Qiao En collapses, planting his greatsword into the ground in his final pose. The white-robed mage exclaims in surprise, recognizing him as the traitor Qiao En, but wonders because she heard this was where the hero Ding Kun perished. She didn't expect the scene before her to be a battlefield littered with bones, with Qiao En standing proudly. The mage concludes that this was clearly the aftermath of a battle against countless monsters and humans. She asserts that this scene is completely different from the statue in the historical memorial. This was not a traitor being trampled underfoot. Yunche listens silently, contemplating the truth that has just been revealed. Qiaoji approaches and says that perhaps his great-grandfather wasn't as evil as everyone thought. He recalls his childhood searching for any historical records of his great-grandfather, but they were always vague. Qiaoji reveals that his great-grandfather always frequented dungeons that didn't match his level. He questions why an S-rank expert, over level 60, would visit such a low-level dungeon. The answer is because this is a dungeon that can spawn a Wandering Lord. Qiaoji explains that Wandering Lords are the source of calamities, summoning monsters into the outside world. In the past, they relied on strong and responsible experts to regularly clear out dungeon monsters. He proudly declares that his great-grandfather was one of those heroes, coming here to nip the disaster in the bud. Yunche and the others listen to Qiaoji's story in silence. Qiaozhe hesitantly says that perhaps everyone thinks he's imagining things. Qiaoji clutches his hands in despair, admitting that even his family thinks he's just seeking solace and interpreting everything in his great-grandfather's favor. Suddenly, Yunche places a hand on his shoulder to comfort him. With a genuine smile, Yunche firmly assures him that he believes Qiaoji. The white-robed mage and Yunyin, standing nearby, watch this scene in astonishment. Qiaoji is completely stunned, speechless at Yunche's unconditional trust. Yunche smiles as he recalls the true nature of Qiao En, whom he knew was nothing like history portrayed. In a flashback, a cocky young Qiao En stands on a table, declaring he doesn't need a master. He confidently points forward, saying that with his talent, he will soon surpass his master, and advises the old man to retire early. Yet, immediately after, Qiao En panics and screams for his master to save him, as he's surrounded by a horde of monsters. After being rescued, The bandaged young man stubbornly blames the overwhelming number of monsters. In another memory, Xiao En, in armor, is caught sneaking out alone. He grins and admits he's the type to work hard in secret before showing off, and reassures that the dungeons he visits are not life-threatening. The master's voice echoes, asking why he chose the sword guard profession, which is the weakest branch for shield users. The master explains that it's precisely because of Xiao En's playstyle, focusing on strength, speed, and always charging forward, that no other shield profession can keep up. Standing on the corpse of a defeated monster, Xiao En grumbles that his master is too talkative. With a bruised but satisfied expression, he accepts the penalty of 3 months' salary deduction for leaving the team without permission, citing that he couldn't resist eliminating a pack of wandering monsters. Returning to the present, Yun Che's eyes flash with determination. He calls Xiao En by his affectionate nickname, Ben, and vows to settle the score with the Ding family for him. Meanwhile, at the Ding family mansion, Patriarch Ding Peng sternly questions a subordinate about the veracity of a piece of information. The informant insists it's true and claims Yun Che is truly extraordinary, advising him to ask the dungeon supervisor if he doesn't believe it. The informant recounts how he was initially stopped by the gatekeeper due to the vast level difference, but as those inside emerged, one student excitedly recounted seeing Wandering Lord defeated from afar. Another marveled at the strength of whoever defeated the level 40 hidden boss, stating that merely holding it back would be unimaginable. The informant muses to himself, this person is named Yun Che, and wonders about his true identity. Back at the mansion, the high-ranking members of the Ding family are plunged into silence after hearing the news. Third, Master Ding Ge stands up and orders the guards to be summoned to the traitor's dungeon. Ding Peng immediately stops him, asking if the Chao children are also there. With a sinister smile, Ding Ge orders the Chao family to be brought along as well. Meanwhile, in the dungeon, Yun Che examines the legendary skill book, Golden Light Barrier, he just received. He hands it to a stunned Xiao Ji, stating it has no level requirement. The white-robed mage asks in astonishment why he would give away a legendary skill so easily. Yun Che explains it's an exclusive skill for shield users, and suggests that perhaps Xiao Ji's great-grandfather also used it. The mage admits that Yun Che himself is not lacking in powerful skills. She continues. Her skills, though high level, are still far from Yun Che's, citing her sudden disappearance skill as an example, or the ability to summon many undead, a statement that makes Yun Che's eyes flash purple. Yun Che mutters the word undead, lost in thought. He recalls that his undead summons are converted from souls, and other souls also enter the mirror world. An idea suddenly sparks in his mind. With a new realization, Yun Che activates the skill, Mirror Realm Movement, and steps into the mirror world. Inside the mirror world, Yun Che wonders if he can use it. He stands before the boss's remains, glittering fragments on the ground. From the wreckage, an armored spirit emitting a blue light gradually forms. Meanwhile, in the real world, Yun Yin urges Yun Sha that they should leave as the ceremony is about to begin. Yun Sha admits they've been here too long but finds everything here much more interesting. In the distance, Yun Yin wonders what Yun Che is doing. Inside the mirror space, Yun Che remains standing there, completely vanished from everyone's sight. He sadly looks at the spirit and says he didn't expect to see Ben again. Yun Che regrets that there are so many things he wants to say, but then realizes a sad truth. The spirit won't be able to respond, and it begins to transform into a ferocious dark entity. He bitterly realizes Ben has truly become an undead, and thinks to himself that he doesn't want to fight. The dark entity lunges at Yun Che with terrifying speed. Its eyes glow with hostile purple light. Suddenly, fragments of Ben's memories flash around Yun Che. One of them shows Ben fighting Ding Kun. Yun Che recognizes the undead's fighting stance as very familiar. Just then, the mirror space begins to crack violently. Amidst the ruins, Yun Che asks in confusion what is happening. He calls out Ben's name in bewilderment. Yun Che stares in shock as Ben's spirit has completely distorted into a dark entity. The two clash, the dark spirit attacking fiercely, forcing Yun Che to constantly dodge. Blocking a blow, Yun Che realizes his friend is now nothing more than pure combat instinct. You intended to retreat, but a system notification appeared, stating you cannot leave the mirror world. Letting out a sigh of relief, Yun Che accepted the situation. He decided he had no choice but to fight. While in the real world, Xiao Zhi stood alone. Suddenly, the third master of the Ding family and his subordinates appeared, questioning Xiao Zhi about Yun Che's disappearance. The third master sneered, assuming Yun Che had fled and that it would be less fun. Xiao Zhi, flustered, asked why they were there. The third master taunted, accusing Xiao Zhi and Yun Che of breaking into his home to steal. Xiao Zhi tried to deny it, but the third master insisted he heard Xiao Zhi's screams. Realizing he had been exposed, Xiao Zhi froze in fear. The third master smirked, stating he had brought a small gift. Xiao Zhi's eyes widened in horror at the sight that unfolded before him. His entire family had been captured by the Ding family's men and brought before him. He painfully recognized each of his relatives, from his grandparents, uncles and aunts, to his mother. The third master roared a cruel command. Kneel! He forced Qiaozhi to apologize to the hero's family and young master Ding Shu. Qiaozhi desperately resisted, but was berated by his own grandfather, who ordered him to kneel and obey the Ding family. Cornered, Qiaozhi shouted, asking if his family wanted to be dogs for the Ding family forever. His relatives, including his second grandfather, mother, and second uncle, were terrified by his defiance. Qiaozhi's uncle, Qiao Li, however, stated that as descendants of a traitor, being dogs was already a privilege. His mother pleaded desperately, asking if he wanted the whole family killed, and to think of his father. She continued to remind Qiaozhi how hard she had worked to support the family since his father went mad. Qiaozhi stood there in silence, enduring the bitter words. He began to retort, asserting that his great-grandfather had entered this dungeon to prevent a catastrophe, and had sacrificed himself. Qiaozhi admitted he had always gathered information about his great-grandfather, but lacked conclusive proof. He declared that now the evidence was before them, his great-grandfather was not a traitor, and the truth was entirely different from what they propagated. He told his family that once the truth was revealed, his great-grandfather's honor would be cleared, and they wouldn't have to live like this anymore. Qiaozhi gritted his teeth, asserting that the Ding family had no right to treat them this way. He shouted that the family of his great-grandfather, his second granduncle, and others did not deserve to die for this. The Ding family's third master burst into laughter, finding Qiaozhi's actions childish but also fitting. He stepped forward, casually admitting that what Qiaozhi said was true. The third master elaborated, confirming that his great-grandfather, Qiao En, was indeed killed in an ambush, and was not a villain. He then leaned down and whispered into Qiaozhi's ear that his own grandfather rose to power by ambushing Qiao En, before contemptuously asking who cared. With a cruel smile, the third master declared Qiao En a traitor to the royal family, and thus deserving of slander. Standing amidst his subordinates, he asserted that descendants of traitors like the Qiao family deserved their lowly status. The third master pointed at the Qiao family, preparing to reveal another truth. The third master revealed that the entire Qiao family knew the truth behind the deaths. Faced with the accusation, Qiaozhi froze in horror. With a smug grin, the third master ordered everyone to kneel. Immediately, the entire Qiao family fearfully obeyed, leaving only Qiaozhi standing tall. His mother sobbed, begging her son to apologize and stop resisting, as it was all futile. She cried in despair, saying she didn't want to lose another son after her husband had gone mad. Standing amidst his family's collapse, Qiaozhi was consumed by the darkness of his pain. In his mind, he heard the encouragement of a woman, telling him he was the best. That memory was quickly replaced by the image of Ding Shu's malicious laughter. Returning to reality, Ding Shu mocked Qiaozhi's slowness and lunged forward with a kick. Qiaozhi raised his hand to block, but was still pushed back by the force. Despite being kicked away, he slid across the ground and regained his footing. With determined eyes, Qiaozhi declared he would never kneel again. Ding Shu, enraged by the defiance, summoned his warhammer and roared that Qiaozhi dared to fight back. He swung his hammer and charged, shouting that he would teach Qiaozhi his place as a punching bag. Unexpectedly, Qiaozhi, now in his summoned armor, blocked Ding Shu's attack with his bare hands. Ding Shu was completely stunned, unable to believe his attack had been stopped. Qiaozhi looked towards his kneeling mother, his eyes burning with determination. He then turned and delivered a straight punch to Ding Shu's face, asserting that they were the true descendants of the hero. Qiaozhi shouted that they were the descendants of the hero. The third master of the Ding family looked surprised at the unexpected turn of events. Ding Shu couldn't believe it, yelling why Qiaozhi had suddenly become so strong. He roared in anger that Qiaozhi was just a punching bag he had beaten since childhood, then charged to attack. Qiaozhi's mother and grandmother watched their descendant in the enemy's encirclement with worry. Qiaozhi stood firm, declaring that he was no longer the weak person he used to be. In the mirror world, Yunche was engaged in a fierce battle with Qiao En's corrupted soul. Yunche thought to himself that this was Benben's omnipotent form, and the power gap between them was too great. He analyzed that, if not for the soul's defensive profession, and the fact that it had lost consciousness, he would have been overwhelmed immediately. However, Yunche was confident that all of Qiao En's combat techniques were taught by him. Therefore, he knew his disciple's weaknesses well. Nevertheless, Yunche's attack only dealt insignificant damage to the soul's level 60 defense. Memories of the arduous training days between the master and disciple flooded back. Yunche recognized the legendary skill the soul was using as the golden light barrier. He admitted that the situation was truly troublesome. A large explosion occurred as the two forces collided. Back in reality, Ding Shu roared the skill Molten Mountain Chaotic Hammer and launched an attack towards Qiaozhi. But Qiaozhi was faster, landing a straight punch to Ding Shu's face. He continuously punched the ground, completely overwhelming Ding Shu in front of everyone. The third master, Ding Ge, appeared with glowing hands, mocking Ding Shu for failing to defeat a member of the Qiao family. Declaring he would take revenge for his nephew, Ding Ge charged to attack Qiao Ji. However, his attack was blocked by a blinding light, leaving Ding Ge stunned. Qiao Ji had activated the golden light barrier, an absolute defensive skill, as instructed by Yun Che from afar. Yun Che sarcastically called the hero family a bunch of cowards who dared not fight one-on-one. Immediately after, Yun Che appeared, slashed at the barrier with his sword, and explained that it was a legendary skill. He analyzed that it could withstand at least 10 attacks as long as the damage did not exceed its limit. However, Yun Che also pointed out its weakness as a draining skill, and continuously attacked. Every attack, no matter how small, depleted its energy, and when it ran out, the barrier would shatter. The golden light barrier shattered, and Ding Ge sneered, saying it was useless. He revealed that he never cared about this skill, even when Qiao En used it. Qiao Ji grabbed the blood-covered Ding Shu, shouting that if his great-grandfather were alive, the Ding family would have to beg for mercy on their knees. Enraged, Ding Ge descended like a red lightning bolt, attacking Qiao Ji. He responded to Qiao Ji's words by mocking Qiao En as a useless person who died in a low-level secret realm. Ding Ge raised his leg, declaring that even if Qiao En were here, he would use Gravity Smash to force Qiao En to his knees. Sharp stone spears emerged from the ground, piercing Qiao Ji and causing him to cough up blood. Ding Ge summoned a giant war axe, threatening to chop off Qiao Ji's legs to see if he could still stand. Qiao Ji's mother desperately rushed out, hugged her son's legs, and begged Ding Ge for his life. She prostrated herself on the ground, weeping, and willing to do anything to save her son. Ding Ge threatened Qiao Ji that if he didn't kneel, he would harm his mother. Despite Ding Ge swinging his axe, Qiao Ji still shouted his refusal to surrender. Ding Ge mocked that he could kill anyone, causing Qiao Ji to panic. Suddenly, a massive tremor cracked the ground, stopping the attack. Qiao Ji looked up in astonishment towards the unexpected explosion. Amidst the dust and smoke, blue energy particles began to gather. The entire Qiao family stared in awe at the strange scene unfolding. Ding Ge stammered, recognizing the entity that had just appeared. A warrior soul clad in blue armor emerged, and Ding Ge screamed Qiao En's name in horror. Qiao Ji's mother, bewildered, asked if it was her grandfather. Ding Peng shrieked in panic that the dead could not come back to life. The second granduncle Qiao observed and commented that the soul's form resembled a lich. Yun Che appeared and said that the Ding family had once looked down on Qiao En. Standing beside the soul, Yun Che declared that Qiao En had returned from hell for revenge. Qiao En's soul stood as a shield before the Ding family's army. Ding Ge furiously ordered his subordinates to attack the one who dared to act so arrogant. Following the order, a group of guards charged forward, while the soul's defensive skills were activated. Qiao En's soul easily blocked all attacks with its shield and sword. The warrior soul alone repelled the entire Ding family army. The second granduncle Qiao exclaimed in amazement at such power, and wondered if it was truly Qiao En. Qiao Ji was astonished by the defensive technique that could block multiple guards simultaneously. The third master Ding Ge realized they were undead, summoned by Yun Che, mocking that he had used such trash at his home before. He scornfully noted that Yun Che was only level 33. Ding Ge shouted that even if it was Qiao En's undead, it was still trash, then swung his axe at the level 33 soul. However, Qiao En's soul easily blocked the powerful attack with its bare hands. Ding Ge was astonished by its strength. His attack was completely neutralized. He was stunned, wondering what defensive technique it was. Ding Ge roared that against absolute power, all techniques were meaningless and attempted to overpower it with brute force. Suddenly, he was repelled by a blast of golden energy. Another massive golden light barrier appeared, further enraging Ding Ge. Yun Che calmly explained that even though Benben had become undead, it was still an S-rank undead, and the golden light barrier alone could keep him occupied all day. Realizing he couldn't break it alone, Ding Ge ordered everyone to attack to deplete the barrier's energy. He prepared to lead the charge, but upon turning back, Ding Ge was horrified to discover that all his subordinates were being held back by another army of skeletons summoned by Yun Che. Realizing he was isolated, Ding Ge decided to act alone, equipping himself with an energy armor. Engulfed in furious flames, he roared that whether it was Qiao En or an undead, they were just summons. Ding Ge decided to ignore the soul and charged directly at Yun Che, unleashing a pressure punch aimed at destroying the summoner. He confidently declared he possessed a high-grade treasure bestowed by his grandfather. The reinforced punch flew directly towards Yun Che. The armored warrior's attack passed through Yun Che as if he were an illusion. The warrior was shocked, wondering why Yun Che was completely unharmed. He launched another move called Rending Claws, but the target had vanished. The warrior was stunned to see Yun Che suddenly disappear before his eyes. Instantly, Yun Che appeared behind him and thrust a sword through his shoulder. Yun Che and the undead bone spirits simultaneously attacked the warrior from all sides. He used a skeleton as a springboard, leaping into the air. From above, Yun Che descended, coordinating with his summoned creatures. A powerful slash sent the warrior flying backward. The The warrior gritted his teeth in anger, uttering curses. With glowing eyes, Yunche stared coldly at his opponent. He unleashed a series of purple slashes, completely surrounding the warrior. The warrior's hand was severed, causing him to scream in pain. In desperation, he yelled for the priest to heal him. Yunche suddenly appeared right in front of him, startling the warrior in fear. He shouted, "Disappear," and summoned stone spears from the ground to impale the enemy. After the attack, Yunche stood calmly on a rocky outcrop. He looked down and sarcastically asked if the warrior was afraid. Sweat poured down as the warrior screamed in panic, wondering why the priest hadn't arrived yet. The reason was revealed. The priest had an undead skeleton archer with a sword to his throat, completely incapacitated. The armored warrior looked in shock as Yunche's undead army easily slaughtered his subordinates. Yunche stood high above, taunting that his undead army was no longer as weak as the warrior had seen them at the Ding family's residence. This power came from the legendary skill, Reverse Undead Incarnation, which increased attack and defense by 30%, making them far beyond the guard's resistance. The warrior gritted his teeth in furious resentment at the unfavorable situation. Realizing resistance was futile, he turned and fled in despair. However, the ground shook violently as giant swords began to emerge from the earth. A colossal sword prison quickly formed, blocking all escape routes for him. The warrior was horrified to realize this was absolute sword shield formation, a unique skill of the sword guardian profession. Yunche, in his powerful white-haired state, sarcastically remarked that no one below S-rank had ever escaped it. Cornered, the warrior raised a glowing red object and yelled at Yunche not to come any closer. He revealed it was a void bomb, an S-rank item his grandfather had given him, and threatened that it would surely kill Yunche. Yunche coolly responded to the threat, stating that with his level and blood, the explosion would certainly be fatal. Without a hint of fear, Yunche casually challenged the warrior to detonate the bomb. The warrior roared in anger, believing Yunche wanted to commit suicide, and boasting that he himself could survive the explosion. Yunche explained that even if the bomb destroyed Chaoen's soul, he could revive him instantly. He concluded contemptuously that the warrior couldn't even touch him. In a flash, Yunche lunged forward, his purple sword flashing and severing both of the opponent's arms. The void bomb fell from the severed hands, rolling across the ground. Yunche stood before the crippled enemy and gave a single command, "Kneel." Helpless and in pain, the warrior was forced to his knees by an invisible pressure, his legs bound by rocks that sprouted from the ground. Witnessing this, Qiaozhe smiled in relief despite his injuries. In contrast, Qiao Li, who was imprisoned, wept in despair. Yunche, in his enhanced state, placed his foot on the fallen warrior and held his sword to his throat. He coldly asked the defeated foe what value he thought he still possessed. Yunche then checked the opponent's inventory and found hundreds of healing potions. He smirked, thinking that with such meager recovery speed, they wouldn't be able to save him. Facing the dark soul of the now bound warrior, Yunche affirmed that his death was inevitable. He recalled that after defeating him, the warrior's soul had appeared in the mirror world. There, Yunche had successfully bound this soul into an undead servant under his command. He realized he could expand his high-level undead army by killing people. However, Yunche decided to spare the warrior's life for now, thinking he might be useful later. Meanwhile, Qiaoji's grandfather was astonished by Yunche's strength at such a young age. Looking at his grandson being guided by Yunche, he realized Qiaoji had become mentally stronger. But Qiaoji worried that the Ding family would seek revenge for the death of the third master, and they would be doomed. Qiao Li also despaired, believing that no matter how strong Yunche was, he couldn't survive if he confronted that hero. He recalled that the hero had killed their ancestors decades ago, and had only grown stronger since. Hearing this, Yunche realized that if this matter came to light, he wouldn't have enough time to grow stronger. He resolved to quickly level up so he could confront Ding Kun. Suddenly, a notification appeared, surprising Yunche, and making him wonder if he had just leveled up. Looking at a giant skeleton monster disintegrating, he understood that sending his undead army to grind levels had been effective. Yunche thought to himself that with his current level and equipment, his undead army could completely dominate this place. However, this dungeon was no longer enough for him to level up quickly. He revealed that there was a more important reason for sending them, which was to find the lord of this dungeon. His target was a level 41 monster named the Giant Eye Demon. Yunche explained that unlike hidden bosses like the Wandering Lord, the Dungeon Lord was the core of the entire dungeon. Chaoen's soul attacked the monster, and Yunche asserted that by killing it, the entire dungeon would be cleared. At that point, the dungeon would vanish, along with the boss. He calculated that the entrance was guarded by teachers, so the Ding family's abduction of the Qiao family must have been seen. If the Qiao family left alone now, it would surely raise suspicion. Only by directly clearing the dungeon and making it disappear could the Qiao family escape amidst the chaos. This way, the Ding family wouldn't be able to confirm the third master's death, buying him a lot of time. A system notification appeared, confirming Yun Che had leveled up and cleared the dungeon after defeating the dungeon lord. Qiao Ji's mother was astonished to see the surrounding space begin to dissolve into data blocks. Yun Che calmly explained that he had killed the dungeon lord, and the chaos from the dungeon's disintegration would prevent the Ding family from reacting quickly to the third master's disappearance. He reassured them that after escaping during the chaos, they would be safe for a while. He instructed that if they were ever investigated, they should blame everything on him. Amidst the disintegrating scene, Yun Che made a hand gesture and ordered his undead army to return. He was surprised to see his mirror world skill had received 5,000 experience points and leveled up to 2. After reading the system notification, Yun Che realized that experience to upgrade mirror world could only be obtained by killing dungeon lords, and he resolved to do so to quickly close the gap with Ding Kun. Meanwhile, in a private dungeon belonging to some tycoon, an armored man with an impressive mustache wondered if they needed to be this serious. In a private dungeon, Yun Che easily bypassed an armored man who wondered who dared to trespass. The mustached man suddenly felt something behind him, but dismissed it as a hallucination. Yun Che thought to himself that the guards in private areas were at most in their 30s. To him, these dungeons were actually not well defended at all. He continued to infiltrate other dungeons, bypassing astonished guards and thinking that it would be soon. Very soon, he would be strong enough. Yun Che had to restrain himself until he could personally kill Ding Kun. He continuously defeated dungeon lords, telling himself to remain calm to avoid making mistakes. After defeating a dragon-like monster, he continued his journey. He faced a skeletal centaur monster, repeating the words "stay calm" in his mind. After defeating another dark beast, he leveled up again. His actions caused a stir, with newspapers reporting on the malicious clearing of multiple private dungeons, while his mirror world skill received 5,000 experience points. Countless skill, experience notifications popped up, and articles dubbed the masked individual the Dungeon Destroyer. Elsewhere, a member of the Qiao family read the newspaper and wondered if Yun Che was responsible. The Qiao family's second master asserted that the sudden clearing of multiple dungeons was definitely related to them. The other man worried that this action would draw the Ding family's attention towards Yun Che. The second master emotionally realized Yun Che was doing all of this just to protect them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to escape. He explained that this hiding place was several days' travel from the Ding family's residence and was well concealed. Other family members breathed a sigh of relief, believing they were finally safe and could escape the Ding family. Suddenly, the ground shook violently, shattering the peaceful atmosphere and causing the entire Qiao family to panic. From the rubble, shadowy figures gradually appeared before the terrified Qiao family, and a voice echoed mockingly about their attempt to escape. The Ding family's second master, Ding Hao, level 42, appeared with a menacing expression, questioning if they thought the Ding family would be too busy looking for Yun Che to bother with them. With eyes blazing red with anger, Ding Hao growled that merely daring to escape the Ding family was enough reason for them to pay a visit. He stomped his foot on the ground, threatening the Qiao family, who cowered on the floor, and sarcastically remarked that they had underestimated the hero's family. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Yun Che and Yun Sha observed a colossal fortress emitting a purple light, known as the hero's dungeon. Yun Che, now level 42, stared at the fortress and silently declared he was here for Ding Kun, while his skill panel showed his mirror world had leveled up to 3. They both observed the hero's dungeon from afar, which Yun Che had set as his next target. Yun Che calculated that the private dungeons he had previously cleared were only around level 30, too inefficient for leveling up. However, high-level dungeons like the hero's dungeon were strictly guarded by the state military within a 2-kilometer radius. His mirror world skill was also limited to a 200-meter range, making it impossible to infiltrate from afar. Seeing no way to sneak in undetected, Yun Che turned to Yun Sha, admitting he had to rely on her. Yun Sha playfully guessed Yun Che's intentions, teasing that there was no way she would help him get inside. She smiled confidently, saying that while she didn't know how much Yun Che knew about her identity, even she couldn't enter without a permit, then suddenly produced 2 passes. Yun Che admitted she had prepared thoroughly. Yun Sha explained they were temporary passes, and required someone to accompany them to bypass the inspection team. With bright eyes, she questioned Yun Che about the real reason he had to evade his family and sneak into this dungeon. Yun Che then reminded her of Qiao En's plight, which they had witnessed in the Ding family's dungeon. He presented his reason. Because Qiao En was not as wicked as rumored, he wanted to help the Qiao family clear their name and confront the heroes to uncover the truth. Yun Sha responded with an emotionless expression, directly asking if he thought she was stupid. Yun Sha questions Yun Che, not understanding why he would risk facing heroes for Qiao Zhe, and even break into her own family's mansion. She suspiciously asks if he foresaw Qiao En's situation, which is why he stole the pass beforehand. Yun Sha continues to list, recalling that the third master of the Ding family entered the traitor's secret realm to cause trouble for him and Qiao Ji. However, He then disappeared without a trace until today. She looks directly at Yun-Che and asserts that his goal is clearly not just to confront the heroes. Yun-Che smiles in response, suggesting that Yun-Sha herself is the one with a hostile attitude towards them. Yun-Sha is stunned, connecting his surname and given name to the traitor Yun-Che from the past, wondering if there's a connection. Yun-Che turns the tables, pointing out that she also shares the surname Yun, and asks about her connection to the traitor. Hit where it hurts. Yun-Sha awkwardly denies having done such things as him. She admits her real surname isn't Yun. It's just a name she uses to avoid trouble. Yun-Che immediately catches on, asking how she knew his real surname was Yun, causing Yun-Sha to threaten to report him. She holds up the pass, warning that if she just informs the nearby army, he will surely die. Yun-Che simply looks at her silently, completely unfazed by the threat. He confidently states that he believes she won't do it. Yun-Sha crosses her arms in annoyance, unable to refute his certainty. Yun-Che explains that he believes someone who risked danger in a secret realm to protect students wouldn't side with the Ding family. He hands her a diary stolen by the Ding family, which records countless crimes committed by the descendants of the hero Ding Kun. Yun-Sha appears indifferent, saying that he's miscalculated just because of these things. However, she remarks that Yun-Che is naive for easily entrusting his life to others, and asks if he's ever been betrayed. Upon hearing the word betrayed, Yun-Che's expression darkens, and painful memories flood back. Yun-Sha looks at Yun-Che defiantly. Yun-Che replies that even if he hasn't experienced it, it doesn't mean he can't trust others. He asserts that he'd rather believe her nature isn't inherently evil, which makes Yun-Sha slightly stunned. Flustered, she mutters that he doesn't look like a good person either. Yun-Sha then challenges him, saying if he truly trusts her, he should come with her to see if she betrays him. Yun-Che silently accepts and follows behind Yun-Sha. Internally, Yun-Sha can't believe what just happened. She is astonished that someone still believes she is a good person. When they arrive at a city gate, a guard greets Yun-Sha and informs her that she can enter directly. However, the guard immediately asks why she isn't with Elder Ding Dan. He points at Yun-Che and begins to explain that Elder Ding had warned them. According to the warning, the family's temporary pass had been stolen, so they must be extremely cautious. Yun-Sha retorts, asking if he's interrogating her, causing the guard to quickly deny it. The guard further explains that the Security Bureau had also reported a criminal specializing in secret realm raids heading their way. Yun-Sha turns back to look at Yun-Che with a mischievous smile. She tells Yun-Che that they insist on investigating him. Then she playfully pulls Yun-Che closer and tells him to just let them check. Yun-Sha challenges the guard, asking if he thinks she wouldn't recognize her own bodyguard. Panicked, the guard quickly apologizes and affirms that if she is sure, there can be no mistake. As they pass through the gate into a purple space, Yun-Che silently thinks that Yun-Sha's status is higher than he imagined. Yun-Sha turns her back and says she brought Yun-Che in because she trusts him and won't care about his actions afterward. She asserts that her help ends here and she won't interfere further. Yun-Che thanks her and gives her a shadow servant, telling her to take it so she won't be suspected of what he's about to do. Yun-Sha pouts as she accepts, muttering that at least he has some conscience. After Yun-Sha leaves, Yun-Che proceeds alone into his skill space, the Mirror World. He happily realizes he can finally use the new ability unlocked when the Mirror World reached level 3. In an inner space, Yun-Che flips through a magic book, fully absorbing the knowledge of his new power. A system window appears, confirming his Mirror World skill is now level 3. Upon using the skill, the system announces that a secret realm anchor is being deployed, creating copies of orcs from level 42 to 45. Yun-Che understands that Mirror World level 3 can copy monsters from real-world secret realms. He excitedly dives into battle, thinking that from now on, he can freely grind monsters in the Mirror World without fear of detection. Afterward, a notification appears stating that Yun-Che has exited the Mirror World. Numerous experience notifications pop up as his undead bone spirits continue to eliminate enemies, making him realize they can automatically level up for him. Now, Yun-Che and Xiao En's soul stand on a cliff overlooking the vast city within the secret realm, telling himself he can investigate carefully. He recalls information from the Ding family's diary stating this is the residence of Ding Kun, someone about whom he has too little information. Yun-Che only knows that Ding Kun reached S-Rank decades ago and has not displayed his power publicly since. Not even Ding Ge knows. He muses that if he had more detailed information, he would be more confident facing him, an S-Rank individual who appeared suddenly and whom he never knew in his past life. Yun-Che turns to ask the soul beside him, Ben, if he knows who he is. Xiao En's soul simply looks back blankly, unable to provide an answer. Seeing Xiao En's reaction, Yun-Che disappointedly thinks that his disciple's memories are still not functioning. Yun-Che realizes that as his SSS-Rank Mirror World skill reached level 3, the intelligence of his undead army has significantly increased. He observes Xiao En's soul and sees that Ben's improvement is the most noticeable. However, Xiao En can still only express confusion and cannot communicate. Yunche looks down at the city in the secret realm, hoping that if the mirror world continues to level up, Chao En will regain more consciousness. Meanwhile, in another location, Ding Peng is pleading with his father, saying he cannot ignore the disappearance of the third master. Ding Dan stands among stone pillars, hearing the report that his third son is still missing, according to information from the Security Bureau. Ding Peng angrily states that the criminal dared to approach the hero's secret realm, where a powerful figure named Ding Shen resides. He continues to analyze that to abduct the third master so stealthily, the perpetrator must have reached S-Rank, and he implores his father to seek his grandfather's intervention to ensure safety. Suddenly, Ding Shen appears, grabs Ding Dan by the head, and scolds him, saying someone who can't even look after his own son has no right to lecture him. Ding Dan only manages to cry out in pain from his father's strength. Ding Shen contemptuously says that Ding Dan, at his age, has only reached S-Rank and cannot withstand a single blow from him. He growls that the only reason he keeps a useless person like Ding Dan around is to watch over his grandson. Ding Shen tightens his grip, saying that now Ding Dan has not only lost his grandson but also forced him to clean up this mess. He explains that losing the third master means losing a blood relative, which costs him several years of his lifespan. In another area of the secret realm, a hero's descendant named Ding Yan is sitting on the back of a muscular prisoner. Ding Yan gleefully urges the other prisoners to quickly fight for food with a pack of wild wolves. He mocks that if they are not quick, the food will be eaten, while a child cries in fear. A level 60 spellcaster named Nans approaches and informs young master Ding Yan that his pet hasn't eaten meat for many days. From above, Yunche observes everything and remarks that compared to the brutality here, the Ding family outside the secret realm is indeed quite restrained. From above, Yunche wonders if he should reveal his identity. Suddenly, he notices an unusual change. Chao En's soul is straining in pain, energy enveloping him. Yunche sadly realizes that even in this state, Chao En still rushes to save others. He recalls the past, when Chao En and a boy named Lan Qian were the kindest and strongest children in the disaster area. At that time, Lan Qian bravely protected Chao En from a cruel slave owner, which is why Yunche took both of them as disciples. He had hoped they would grow up strong and help others. Returning to the present, Yunche blames himself, thinking his own mistakes led to Chao En's current state. Chao En's soul turns back, seemingly recognizing Yunche and trying to call his name. Yunche is astonished. Ben, you. He can't believe Chao En has regained consciousness, but the soul can only utter the name Ding Kun. In extreme rage, Chao En roars, confirming his enemy is Ding Kun. Yunche's eyes widen in shock and anger. Elsewhere, a fully armored warrior stands on Nan's corpse and calls out Yunche's name. The warrior, Ding Kun, questions if someone is using that name to provoke him. He contemptuously says, it's been many years since he last heard that name. Then Ding Kun smirks menacingly, declaring he will see who dares to impersonate his beloved master. Meanwhile, Ding Yan is affectionately petting two large orcs he calls his babies. He says that because he's been busy taking care of other pets, they must be very hungry. Standing amidst the bloody corpses of prisoners, Ding Yan laughs maniacally. A terrified child cries next to the corpse of another prisoner. Ding Yan laughs heartily, declaring he's tired of these toys and orders the orcs to eat them all. At his command, the giant orcs roar and charge towards the desperate child. Suddenly, purple slashes tear through the air, cutting through the body of an orc. Yunche emerges from the shadows, his sword flashing as he dispatches all the orcs in an instant. With glowing purple eyes, Yunche whispers the name of his former disciple, Lan Qian. He tightens his grip on his sword, wondering how one person could be Ding Kun. A cloaked guard appears, questioning the intruder and warning him that he is trespassing on a hero's territory. Yunche roars in anger, unable to believe Ding Kun could have raised such a scumbag. In a flashback, Yunche from his past life is teaching two young boys, Chao En and Lan Qian, about the era of professions. He explains that even though the age of knights is over, he wants to pass on their legacy. Yunche promises that under his tutelage, their strength will surpass that of ordinary people. He emphasizes that if they wish to continue learning, they must remember important principles. The first lesson is humility, but the image shows Chao En boasting about his skills to Lan Qian. The second lesson is respect, but when Yunche gives extra payment to an old man, Chao En shows contempt. Lan Qian tries to stop his friend, but Chao En rudely dismisses him. Yunche quietly gives the man more money, reminding his disciples never to become arrogant. Returning to the present, Yunche lunges at the cloaked guard with terrifying speed. The guard's arcane shield shatters, leaving him horrified by the unimaginable power of the attack. Even his legendary level 30 defensive necklace is completely destroyed. Ding Yan mocks Yunche, declaring he will show him the power of someone on a higher tier. With eyes blazing with energy, Yunche prepares to retaliate. He suddenly remembers his own teachings from years ago, to be merciful and treat the weak kindly. At the same time, to always use compassion to fight against violence and wrongdoing. Yunche recalls saving Dingkun from a slave trading organization, teaching that those who have been hurt should understand the helplessness of the weak. Back in the present, Yunche decides to let his enemies judge their own actions and lunges forward to attack. However, the attack passes through an illusion, and Dingyan mocks that hitting an illusion must have made Yunche happy. He challenges, saying if Yunche likes it, there are plenty more illusions for him to slash. Yunche remains unfazed, his gaze still focused. Dingyan continues to provoke, mocking Yunche's angry expression. He wonders if the anger is due to the lowly prisoners, and seems amused by the possibility. He invites Yunche to try slashing again, sowing doubt about the consequences. Dingyan reveals that if Yunche slashes all the illusions, the one he truly hits might be the prisoners themselves. Yunche activates the mirror world skill, allowing him to see through the reality behind the illusions. Seeing through the deception, Yunche moves with incredible speed. His attack hits the real Dingyan and Nans, who are shocked, unable to understand how their illusion magic was seen through. Another memory floods back, of him teaching his disciples to be brave and decisive in battle. That teaching was to have no cowards when fighting for justice in dungeons. After the battle, Xiao En and Lan Qian sigh in relief, and complain to their master that they almost died. The past Yunche smiles, reassuring them that he had been watching over them the entire time. Injured, Dingyan frantically orders Nans to hold off their opponent so he can escape. While fleeing, Dingyan cowardly threatens that if anything happens to him, his grandfather will kill Nans. Left alone, Nans unleashes a barrage of spells, admitting that fighting without illusion magic is incredibly difficult. The mage looks around in confusion, unable to understand why the enemy suddenly disappeared. Instantly, Yunche appears directly behind Nans, with his sword radiating purple energy. A clean sword strike descends, splattering blood everywhere. Defeated, Nans begs for mercy, confessing he's just a mercenary, and trying to shift all blame to Dingyan. Yunche coldly finishes off Nans, the fourth principle he once taught echoing in his mind, the spirit of sacrifice. Meanwhile, Dingyan, while fleeing, is intercepted by Qiao En's dark spirit. He boasts about being the hero's grandson to threaten them. Another giant shadow appears behind Yunche, and Dingyan, already defeated, screams in horror, asking Yunche what he has done. Yunche's memories return with the fifth principle, honesty, along with an image of Dingkun in dark armor. The sixth principle is fairness, appearing with a scene of Qiao En fighting. The seventh principle is honor, linked to the image of Luo Wai and his army. And the eighth principle is the soul, accompanied by the sight of a destructive energy sword rain descending upon the city. Dingyan lies motionless on the ground, his face filled with extreme terror. Yunche recalls the scene of the ruined city, painfully calls out Lanqian's name, and questions his betrayal. His rage reaches its peak as he thinks about how those people allowed their descendants to do evil, and he roars a question filled with resentment. In his mind, a voice echoes, asking him back why he is angry. The voice continues to mock, saying it seems Yunche was quite happy in his dungeon, while destruction repeats itself. Returning to reality, Yunche stands amidst the ruins, continuously using healing magic to recover his injuries as his equipment appears. In a flashback, Yunche is covered in blood, painfully calling out Lan Qian's name and asking why. A warrior in black armor with white hair, identified as Lan Qian, level 71, berserker class, slowly approaches. Yunche dodges an attack while magic mirrors appear around him. Lan Qian is surprised to see the mirrors surrounding him. Yunche suddenly appears from one of the mirrors, his eyes flashing with purple light. He swings his sword at Lan Qian, growling and asking why he betrayed him. The armor on Lan Qian's arm shatters, and he is astonished by Yunche's speed and incredible power. Yunche, his entire body enveloped in purple energy, once again questions Lan Qian about the reason for his betrayal. Lan Qian smirks, questioning Yunche's betrayal in return, and wondering how Yunche knows his old name. He speculates if some old man sent Yunche. Lan Qian swings his greatsword, creating a massive energy slash. He mocks Yunche as a fake disciple, calling it a sick hobby. Yunche blocks the attack and shouts, repeating his question about the betrayal. Lan Qian coldly declares Yunche is just a tool, and there's no need to say more. He channels energy into his blade, preparing for a devastating attack. An energy explosion sweeps across the ground, creating a large crater. Yunche looks towards Qiao En's spirit, who is holding a sword and shield, and asks about his fate. Qiao En's spirit is pierced by countless dark attacks. In pain, Qiao En shouts Lan Qian's name. Lan Qian silently faces Qiao En's spirit as they charge at each other. In a flashback, Lan Qian repeatedly attacks Qiao En's spirit, and is surprised that he is still alive. He grabs Qiao En's head, roaring for an explanation. With overwhelming strength, Lan Qian completely dominates the spirit of his old friend. Suddenly, Lan Qian stops as he realizes something. He understands that Qiao En was resurrected by a necromancer, but is now just a soulless shell. The scene shifts to the present, where 3 level 60 warriors of the Ding family, Ding Shun, Ding Qiang, and Ding Jian, appear, calling someone father and demanding that the intruders be dealt with. Yun Che angrily orders them to get out of the way. He immediately summons his undead army, including Chaoen, to block the enemies. A familiar figure in black armor appears. It is the adult Lan Qian. Chaoen's undead spirit stands firm, ready to fight. Lan Qian sees Chaoen's form and painfully realizes that he is truly dead. His gaze then shifts to Yun Che, the controller of the spirit, and an intense interest arises. Lan Qian lunges in front of the injured Yun Che, commenting on how a dead spirit has been resurrected. Suddenly, he grabs Yun Che and screams in desperation, demanding that he prove he is his master. With a crazed expression, Lan Qian insists that Yun Che must be the master he has longed for. While Lan Qian pleads, Yun Che recalls the past when he saved a young Lan Qian from a cage. Tormented by memories, Yun Che unleashes an energy attack on the traitor. Lan Qian takes the full force of the attack with a twisted smile, believing Yun Che himself created the person he is now. Yun Che roars, questioning the one he saved from a life of slavery and trained into a powerful hero. He demands Lan Qian explain the reason for his past betrayal. Lan Qian roared in fury, asking why Yun Che had come to save him so late. He recalled his painful past, where he was brutally beaten with no one paying attention. Lan Qian questioned why another disciple, the son of a knight, could live comfortably and be respected by everyone. He resentfully remembered how Chaoen, who had suffered nothing, received all the favor. He bitterly asked why Chaoen was better than him in every aspect. Lan Qian screamed, accusing Yun Che of favoring Chaoen simply because he had a cleaner background. He painfully asked why Yun Che had turned him into a berserker. Lan Qian believed that due to his timid nature, he should have become a sword guard with better defensive capabilities. Yun Che listened quietly and then coldly denied it, saying he had never favored anyone. He reiterated that it was Lan Qian himself who always showed a desire to become braver and stronger. Lan Qian screamed back madly, claiming he only did so because that was the type of person Yun Che liked, just like Chaoen. He desperately asked if his efforts to appear brave had ever earned him Yun Che's favor. Lan Qian asserted that deep down, Yun Che always looked down on his background and asked his former master to stop being hypocritical. Yun Che dismissed his lofty ideals, declaring that the treatment Lan Qian received was determined by power and status. Lan Qian scoffed, saying he wasn't as foolish as Chaoen, who wasted time and opportunities to save others. He smirked, asking Yun Che if his actions could truly be called betrayal. He declared that if Yun Che chose Chaoen, he could choose someone else, and Luo Wai had given him higher status and power. Lan Qian challenged Yun Che to look at the situation of Chaoen's descendants compared to his own. He laughed maniacally, revealing that Chaoen's descendants were now mere slaves to his Ding family. Finally, he mocked Yun Che's predicament and praised Luo Wai's current imperial status. Lan Qian questioned Yun Che, asking whose choice was the right one. Angry purple energy began to envelop Yun Che. With a bloodied face, Yun Che roared, calling Lan Qian an ungrateful wretch. He immediately unleashed a storm of countless sharp mirror shards at Lan Qian. The shards surrounded and attacked Lan Qian from all directions. Lan Qian gritted his teeth in pain as his body was cut by the mirror fragments. The powerful attack cracked his defenses. He screamed in agony as the rain of fragments tore him apart. Yun Che coldly declared that Lan Qian could never compare to Ben. With glowing purple eyes, he contemptuously stated that Lan Qian wasn't even worthy of that person's little finger. Lan Qian continued to scream as he endured the brutal onslaught. Yun Che repeated his words, asserting that Lan Qian could not compare to Ben. He emphasized that harsh truth once more with a look of hatred. Knocked to the ground, Lan Qian suddenly let out a wild laugh. His armor shattered as a red aura erupted, activating his berserker body and shouting that Yun Che had admitted it. He yelled, accusing Yun Che of being a hypocrite for favoring Ben, as his strength and speed soared. Yun Che was astonished by Lan Qian's sudden speed. With terrifying speed, Lan Qian lunged forward, mocking Yun Che for only being able to hide in the mirror world. A cataclysmic explosion occurred at the spot where Yun Che had just stood. Lan Qian turned back, realizing Yun Che had used the mirrors to teleport behind him. Lan Qian activated the berserker's exclusive skill, Bloodstorm, and challenged Yun Che that without mirrors, he couldn't escape. The ground cracked under the power of the storm, and he roared, daring Yun Che to face him head-on like a brave knight. Yun Che began to take continuous damage from the skill, while Lan Qian mocked him for practicing the knightly virtues he himself had taught. As Lan Qian's blood decreased, his passive, rage body, activated, continuously increasing his attack and speed. With a crazed expression, he mocked Yun Che for only talking about morality when safe, calling him a pampered noble who had never known suffering. Lan Qian lunged forward, screaming that Yun Che had no right to speak of compassion without having experienced his pain. Yunche raised his sword to block Lan Qian's energy-infused slash. He gritted his teeth in resistance, thinking that Lan Qian's philosophy was just self-deception. Lan Qian unleashed his skill, Blood Rage Explosion Blade, mocking Yunche's naivety for believing friends and disciples would always support him. Yunche was completely overwhelmed by the power of the attack. A massive explosion shook the ground at the point of impact. Severely wounded and on the verge of death, Yunche collapsed as Lan Qian laughed heartily at his pathetic state. Lan Qian mocked that without mirrors, Yunche was weak, but he had managed to use basic heal to recover a little blood. He declared he wouldn't attack anymore, letting Yunche slowly die from the continuous damage of Bloodstorm. Despite the dire situation, Yunche looked up with determined eyes. Lan Qian suddenly closed in and grabbed Yunche's sword, remarking that he wasn't as tough as he used to be. He pinned Yunche down, declaring this was the price of naivety, and he should be grateful. As Lan Qian lectured that only betrayal made people grow, Yunche had quietly used a mirror shard to teleport behind him. Lan Qian continued his monologue, mocking Yunche's feelings of falling from grace. Yunche seized the opportunity, swinging his glowing sword into Lan Qian's unguarded back. Yunche's attack finally hit, but Lan Qian continued to mock how Luo Wai became king while Yunche was branded a traitor. With a hateful expression, Yunche poured his strength into the sword, lodged in his opponent's back. Lan Qian was sent flying in a massive explosion, shouting if Yunche was jealous. Amidst the dust and smoke, Yunche was critically wounded and bleeding profusely, while Lan Qian let out a triumphant laugh. Lan Qian declared that Yunche's life was in his hands. He offered a condition. If Yunche admitted his mistakes and begged on his knees, he could live as a pet. Of course, the condition was that Yunche had to reveal the secret of his reincarnation. Yunche bowed his head, admitting he was wrong, his biggest mistake being saving Lan Qian from the slave cage that year. He continued to realize his mistake in trusting people like wolves, and at that moment, a golden aura erupted as he leveled up. Lan Qian was shocked to see Yunche's condition restored, while Yunche realized his mistake in thinking being a role model could win people over. Inside the mirror world, Yunche reversed the Radiant Acceleration skill, realizing his mistake in believing good people wouldn't change. He continued to reverse Evil Spirit Incarnation as his HP recovered, realizing his mistake in rigidly adhering to knightly virtues. With his hair turning a brilliant white, Yunche declared that, to deal with scum like Lan Qian, virtues were unnecessary. His eyes flashed with purple light as he asserted that they just needed to be cleaned up at all costs. Yunche lunged at the stunned Lan Qian with newfound speed and power. A series of continuous slashes were unleashed, completely overwhelming Lan Qian. However, Lan Qian burst into delighted laughter, saying this was more like it. He called Yunche master, his face filled with excitement. Lan Qian blocked Yunche's attack and began to mock, saying he thought his master had learned dual wielding. Apparently, in his eyes, it was just blindly swinging two swords. Lan Qian scoffed that using unfamiliar combat methods in real fights was akin to suicide. He suddenly flinched, sensing something was wrong. Yunche unexpectedly appeared from a spatial portal behind him, causing Lan Qian to cough up blood from the surprise attack. Lan Qian was shocked, wondering how this was possible when all the mirrors had been destroyed. He was stunned to realize the puddle of blood at his feet was the medium for Yunche's skill. Yunche explained that any reflective surface would suffice, making Lan Qian realize he had found a loophole in his strategy. To break the stalemate, Lan Qian roared and activated his Bloodline Fury skill, believing it would eliminate all reflective surfaces. He charged forward with all his might. Suddenly, Qiaowen's spirit appeared right behind him, stunning Lan Qian as he called out his old friend's nickname, Ben. Yunche coldly declared that for someone like Lan Qian, there was no need to speak of knightly spirit when he summoned his undead army. Amidst the desolate battlefield, the undead army enveloped Yunche, ready for battle. With eyes burning with hatred, Yunche growled that he just wanted Lan Qian dead. Lan Qian easily repelled Qiaowen's spirit, mocking that the loser from 60 years ago couldn't keep up with his current strength. He laughed maniacally, declaring that the more injured he became, the stronger he would grow. Yunche calmly replied that he could see through all his flaws. As Lan Qian cursed angrily, Yunche began to analyze the two major weaknesses of a berserker. The first weakness, he explained, was low defense. Since the class required high speed and attack power, Lan Qian had to pour all his stats into those two factors. As a result, while he was engaged in combat, skeleton archers from afar easily shot arrows into his back. Yunche concluded that many of Lan Qian's skills further reduced his defense, to the point where even skeleton undead could injure him, making him enraged and preparing a wide area attack to wipe them out. Yunche pointed out Lan Qian's second weakness, a lack of area of effect attack. He analyzed that besides his old moves, Lan Qian only had a linear attack, the Blood Qi Violent Slash. Yunche confidently declared that with his mana regeneration rate, he could maintain an endless undead army, preventing Lan Qian from ever clearing them. Enraged, Lan Qian roared in defiance and unleashed his area of effect move, Blood Rain Rampage. Yunche continued to expose his opponent's biggest flaw. He had no one to trust. He recalled how Lan Qian and Xiaoen used to complement each other's weaknesses, but now the shield that once protected him had become a weapon against him. Yunche questioned the one who climbed to the top through betrayal, asking if this was the outcome he desired. Lan Qian ignored the talk of friendship and unleashed a massive energy blast towards Yunche. He shouted that Yunche had died long ago, while he had enjoyed power for 60 years. With a crazed expression, Lan Qian asserted he was right to believe he didn't need teammates. He flew up and summoned his descendants, Ding Jian and Ding Qiang, to battle. Responding to the call, his 3 descendants, including Ding Jian, appeared on a tower and called out to their father. Lan Qian laughed heartily, declaring he didn't need teammates as he had his descendants to fight for him. Instantly, Yunche appeared behind him and coldly asked, "Is that so?" Without giving his opponent time to react, Yunche swung his blade, cleaving a deep gash into Lan Qian's back. Witnessing this, Ding Jian screamed in horror, calling out to his father. He couldn't believe his eyes, stunned and wondering if his father had truly lost. Lan Qian, heavily wounded and spitting blood, ordered his descendants to stop Yunche and heal him. Ding Sun despairingly said that if even Lan Qian couldn't win, what could they do? Lan Qian gritted his teeth in rage and utter helplessness. Angered by his descendants' hesitation, Lan Qian roared that he would handle it himself. He grabbed the terrified Ding Sun, choked him, and questioned why he was even there. Lan Qian screamed madly that everything his descendants had was bestowed by him. He revealed he created them solely for his own health and longevity, then roared at them for daring to defy him. While Ding Zun weakly called for his father, Lan Qian ordered Ding Jian and Ding Qiang to stop Yunche, or he would drain both their life forces. Immediately after, a dark silhouette flashed, causing space to seem to shatter. Yunche unexpectedly appeared directly behind Lan Qian, startling him. A series of fierce slashes from Yunche rained down on Lan Qian. Lan Qian screamed in pain as he took the full brunt of the attack. A massive energy explosion engulfed his body. After the attack, Lan Qian gasped for air amidst the rubble. He wondered where Yunche had gone, and Yunche taunted that his physique could no longer keep up. Yunche mockingly stated that Lan Qian was still just an old man inside, then summoned the undead souls of the Ding family for a family reunion. Lan Qian realized in horror that Yunche had turned his own children into undead. Yunche sneered and charged forward. He easily caught up to the fleeing Lan Qian and asked if he could still run. Faced with defeat, Lan Qian's mind shattered, and he began calling out the names of his past comrades. In his delirium, he called out his master's name. Blood gushed from his mouth as he called out his child's name. With desperate eyes, Lan Qian looked at Yunche and said that he could have had all of this. In his final moments, Lan Qian saw Yunche's reflection. Yunche coldly declared that all Lan Qian would receive now was the hatred of his own descendants, and he had to face the consequences of his choices. The story flashed back over 60 years ago, to a forge, where Yunche stood with his 2 young disciples, Lan Qian and Xiaoen. Yunche stated that since they had both successfully class-changed and reached S-Rank, he would give them a gift. He explained that he had used all the high-grade materials he had accumulated to forge a mythical-grade weapon. Yunche handed Lan Qian a greatsword, saying it was the highest-grade weapon he could wield, and it perfectly suited his fighting style. Lan Qian joyfully swung the new weapon and thanked his master. Yunche then turned to Xiaoen, calling him Yi Yi, and presented him with a set of axes and a shield suited for his new class. Xiaoen quietly accepted them and grumbled that his master really knew how to spend money. Yunche noticed Lan Qian staring at him and asked what was wrong. Lan Qian wondered why his master had never changed his weapon, suggesting it might be outdated. Yunche drew his sword and asserted that it would never need to be replaced. It was the Flowing Cloud Sword. He explained it was forged in an ancient forge in an SSS-grade secret realm, the culmination of countless treasures he had collected over the years. At that time, the sword was only in its embryonic form. It was a unique grade equipment, the highest tier that couldn't be replicated. The sword had a special forging method, capable of endless transformation like drifting clouds, becoming any weapon form. The condition for it to take its complete form was to synchronize perfectly with its user, as when it transformed into a giant battle axe. Yunche said that, after countless battles, it now moved at his will and automatically adapted to his changing strength. The young Lan Qian looked at his master and his sword with admiration, exclaiming, "It's amazing." In a flashback, Yunche asked his disciple Lan Qian if he wanted to try holding his sword, and the boy eagerly asked, "Can I?" The young Lan Qian gripped the Flowing Cloud Sword with a look of admiration and determination. The memory shifted to another time, where the adult Lan Qian stood over his master's corpse, ordering the scene to be staged as if Yunche had rebelled at the king's command. He laughed maniacally, exclaiming that the unique grade weapon had finally become his. In Lan Qian's hands, the sword began to transform, emitting a dark aura. The story returned to the present. Yun Che began to recount that when he faced the secret realm's front line, no matter how difficult the path, he had never retreated. He had overcome all hardships, all to be able to live a peaceful life alongside his disciples. Yun Che held up his heavily damaged flowing cloud sword, stating that Lan Qian's greed had caused it to shatter into its current state. Lan Qian, dying on the ground, weakly admitted he was wrong, but Yun Che coldly replied that the title of hero meant nothing to him. Lan Qian's blood-covered face showed sheer terror as he begged not to be killed. Yun Che mocked that in Lan Qian's hands, the flowing cloud sword was merely a great sword, then transformed it into a giant scythe, and asked if he betrayed him for this. Enveloped in a dark, killing intent, Yun Che growled that Lan Qian had betrayed Ben as well. In a final effort, Lan Qian asked if his master wanted to know the full truth about the incident that year. Yun Che ignored him, declaring that Lan Qian had to face the consequences he chose, and swung the scythe down. Lan Qian's head was severed, his final words about the truth cut short. Standing in the darkness, Yun Che declared that everything Lan Qian knew, he would also know. The final image showed Yun Che's dark silhouette, contrasting with Luo Wai sitting on his throne. In his dying moments, Lan Qian's soul realized he was merely a pawn in Luo Wai's plan. Faced with this truth, Yun Che simply watched with determined eyes, for his path of revenge had only just begun. As the traitor's soul dissipated, Yun Che resolved that he must become even stronger. The current world had a limit. Ordinary people could only reach level 30 inches their lifetime. Even exceptional talents in official organizations were capped at level 60. Level 60 was a monumental barrier, and the only way to overcome it was through class advancement. Class advancement would evolve one's job, unlocking higher-tier exclusive equipment, stats, and skills. Yun Che calmly looked at the item he had just acquired, something that could break all limits. It was the Class Advancement Certificate, an extremely rare item that countless people coveted. He recalled that in his previous life, even though secret realms were open to all, the success rate for class advancement was only 1 in 10,000. But in this life, that item was tightly controlled by the government. Within the entire Ding family, only Lan Qian's ancestor possessed one, and no descendant had ever had the chance. The difference in power before and after class advancement was like night and day, akin to Lan Qian transforming from a warrior to a berserker. Yun Che admitted that without the mirror world skill, he wouldn't have been able to defeat such a powerful Lan Qian. He wondered what would happen if he possessed both the mirror world and the power after class advancement, and began activating the item. The thought of unimaginable power flashed in Yun Che's mind. The system began scanning his stats, and confirmed he met the prerequisites. 3 class options appeared: combat dancer, poet, and forest musician, along with the requirement to start a class advancement quest. Yun Che ignored these options, as he already had his own goal. The class he was aiming for had been decided long ago, a rare caster-type class that was the only one possessing offensive skills. Among the job change options, Yun Che decisively chose War Martial Artist. Immediately, the mirror world presented the option to reverse this job. With determined eyes, Yun Che accepted the job reversal. This world has 8 basic job classes, which then develop into many advanced branches with their own specializations. However, there are always exceptions, namely the hidden advanced job classes. The stronger the job class, the higher the requirements to change into it. For example, War Martial Artist requires speed above 55 and spirit above 65. This was already impossible for a spellcaster, not to mention the need for the Bloodlust Slaughter item. This is a bloodstone that needs to be filled with energy through mass slaughter, a task too difficult for a spellcaster with no offensive capabilities. Therefore, very few people can successfully change jobs. But now, the mirror world has reversed and multiplied these requirements. The new job created is the Peaceful Martial Artist, with the introduction that their dance is both a healing hymn and a destructive melody, requiring 5 life sprouts. Yun Che broke out in a cold sweat, thinking the requirement was overly exaggerated. He wondered about the reversal rules of the mirror world, deducing that the new requirement must have a difficulty equivalent to the Bloodlust Slaughter. Life Sprout is a treasure that continuously creates full HP recovery potions, each one enough to make top experts fight over it, let alone 5. Yun Che bent over, stunned by the impossible requirement. Nevertheless, he believed that with such high requirements, this job class would undoubtedly be unreasonably powerful after changing, while also realizing he had underestimated the complexity of the mirror world. He understood that after level 3, the mirror world contained not only normal monsters but also replicas of secret realm lords. Powerful souls, like a shadow figure with countless weapons on its back, also existed within it. As his strength increased, he noticed the number of souls seemed to grow, and the ability to reverse job changes was also unlocked. Leaving the mirror world, Yun Che faced a giant monster, realizing that each skill level needed to be explored further. A giant shadow beast appeared behind him, and Yun-che decided that his current priority was to change jobs to quickly increase his strength. It was time to leave. After defeating the Secret Realm Lord, Yun-che leveled up twice. He received the legendary equipment Great Fang Necklace, officially cleared the dungeon, and reached level 50. Immediately after, the entire space of the heroic dungeon began to disintegrate. Outside, the guarding soldiers watched the unusual scene in shock. They were confused as to why the dungeon suddenly disappeared, and worried about the heroic family inside. A commander, fearing the worst, ordered all soldiers to enter the collapsed area. Amidst the rubble, a soldier discovered Ding Jian's corpse in horror. News of the tragedy quickly spread throughout the city via flying newspapers. A man sat watching a news report announcing the massacre of the heroic family. Elsewhere, a family also watched the crime scene images in shock, unable to believe the hero had been killed. A military officer issued an urgent arrest warrant for the only suspect captured. A cloaked figure. In the Dark Palace, Supreme King Luo Wei sat on his throne, confirming that Lan Qian was dead. A cloaked spy reported on the situation, stating that the army had been deployed but found nothing. The spy stood amidst the ruins, announcing that none of the guards knew what had happened. He presented a file, stating that he had investigated entry and exit records and information from the Security Bureau. Based on the evidence, he declared that the most obvious suspects had been identified. Two names were mentioned, Yun Sha and Yun Che, causing Luo Wei to fall silent in thought. The spy smirked, telling the emperor that the name Yun Che truly evoked many memories. He volunteered to take on the task of handling the matter. While at an academy, students began to gossip. A group of students discussed the shocking news, wondering who would dare attack an entire heroic family. In the schoolyard, students gossiped about a hero being killed, calling it a national disgrace and questioning the army's capabilities. Passing by, Yun Sha silently thought that the culprit had directly killed Lan Qian. She worriedly realized she was an accomplice who had helped that person enter the heroic dungeon. Yun Sha hesitated whether to report it, but then thought that after this, they might never see each other again. Just then, Yun Che suddenly appeared right in front of her. Yun Sha was completely stunned by his sudden presence. In another space, Yun Che silently pondered something called the Life Nursery. An armored entity knelt before him, mumbling about the item. Yun Che believed the Life Nursery was extremely precious, something only high-level individuals could possess. He immediately thought of Yun Sha, someone who clearly had a noble background. Sitting on his throne in his world, Yun Che asked the entity about Yun Sha's identity. The entity revealed a shocking truth. Yun Sha was Luo Sha, the granddaughter of his sworn enemy, Luo Wei. Returning to reality, Yun Che looked at Yun Sha with astonishment. He couldn't believe the girl before him was Luo Wei's granddaughter. As Yun Sha was about to speak, a crowd of students rushed over. They cheered upon seeing Yun Che had returned to school. The students surrounded him, thanking Yun Che for saving their lives from the Wandering Lord and praising his strength. They were happy to finally have a chance to thank him properly, and informed him that the school seemed to want to reward him. A student suddenly worriedly warned that now that he was at school, the Ding family might come looking for trouble. Meanwhile, a mysterious man revealed that the 3 leaders of the Ding family had disappeared in the dungeon, and the family had searched everywhere. Teacher Li told Yun Che that because he was too strong, he might be interrogated, but he reassured him that the clear culprit was the dungeon destroyer mentioned in the news, who had killed even the heroes. So no one suspected Yun Che. Yun Che silently thought that the Ding family only knew him by his voice when he broke in to steal the pass, and had no concrete evidence. Teacher Li happily added that the Peacekeeper force was hunting the dungeon destroyer and would catch him soon. He told Yun Che to rest assured, as he would be completely vindicated then. However, Yun Che silently thought he absolutely did not want to be caught by the Peacekeeper. He recalled how powerful this force was, with patrols everywhere and citizens able to report incidents by phone. If not for the undead causing chaos, he might not have been able to return here. Now, among the students, he only needed to pretend to be Yun Che, making him difficult to detect. Most importantly, at school, he could learn about this era without suspicion. Meanwhile, an angry student claimed it was all the dungeon destroyer's fault. A female student agreed, saying that without him, Yun Che wouldn't have been suspected, and the Ding family would have just been victims. Others were shocked that even the heroes had perished. The male student became even more enraged, shouting that the villain who dared to attack a hero was truly cruel. Yun Che silently thought about the image of hero Ding Kun that Luo Wei had propagated since childhood. So even if he killed him, it would be hard to change their prejudice. Suddenly, another male student spoke up, whispering that the truth about the hero was not as written in the books. He claimed to have heard this from his uncle in the heroic dungeon, causing a friend to dismiss it as fabrication. Another female student confirmed she had also heard rumors, but was immediately scolded by the hot-tempered male student for speaking ill of the deceased. The rumor spreader insisted he had video evidence, while Yun Che watched silently from afar. The video revealed a scene of devastation inside the heroic dungeon after it disappeared, with countless emaciated corpses lying around. The narration in the video stated that these people had long been enslaved and abused by the Ding family. The students watching the footage on their phones were horrified by the tragic scene. Yun-chae watched silently, wondering if this revealed truth would bring about any change. A female student skeptically asked about the origin of the video, arguing that the area was strictly guarded by the military. The rumor spreader immediately retorted, loudly claiming it was a fake video intended to slander the hero. Suddenly, Yun-cha stepped forward and confirmed the video was real, revealing that she had just been invited to the heroic dungeon, and the footage was only a small part of the truth. She asserted that the Ding family's crimes were not a secret among the upper class. The other students were shocked to hear Yun-cha herself, a person of status, confirm this. They began to waver, wondering if this terrible rumor could be true. Yun-chae silently thought that he never expected such a cruel deed to actually exist. Yun-cha turned and gestured for Yun-chae to follow her for a private conversation. The remaining students could only watch in utter disbelief. In a secluded corner of the courtyard, Yun-cha questioned Yun-chae why he had returned, reminding him of the danger from the peacekeeper force and the fact that he had killed a hero. She continued speaking, her voice full of implication. Then she directly asked if he was afraid she would report him. But Yun-chae calmly replied. He asserted that he believed her true nature would not turn evil, which confused Yun-cha. Yun-cha laughed, saying that with the crimes the heroic family had committed, death was a release. She suddenly angrily pointed at Yun-chae and declared that he owed her another favor. Yun-chae confidently replied that he understood Yun-cha's intentions, while silently calling her real name, Luo-sha. He wondered why Luo-wai's granddaughter would help him enter the heroic dungeon. Yun-chae's eyes flashed red as he considered the possibility of using Luo-sha to get closer to his nemesis. Pushing those thoughts aside, he decided to focus on the immediate goal and asked Yun-cha about the life nursery. He took a step forward, awaiting her answer. Yun-cha surprisingly confirmed that it was the source of life essence. Yun-chae stated with conviction that the school's principal possessed one and headed towards his office. Immediately after, a system notification popped up as he activated his skill and entered the mirror world. Inside the mirror space, Yun-chae explained that the principal had collected a world tree sapling and cherished it greatly. He further revealed that almost all of the life nurseries had been bought by the principal at any cost. Yun-chae approached the center of the replicated room, declaring he would water that precious tree. He was astonished to find not just one, but numerous life nurseries surrounding the world tree sapling. Without hesitation, Yun-chae summoned the flowing cloud sword and swung an energy-filled slash towards them. However, a powerful sealing formation suddenly activated, blocking the attack, making Yun-chae realize everything was protected. He mused that while he was familiar with seals from his past life, this formation was entirely different. Yun-chae admitted that with his current strength, he couldn't break the barrier, and using force would only destroy the items within. Sensing the unfavorable situation, he decided to temporarily withdraw. Upon exiting the mirror world, Yun-chae received item replicas and saw the spectral image of Principal Bolin, level 89. He mentally assessed Bolin's strength to be far beyond Lan Qian's, realizing he needed to change his profession if he wanted to confront him. Yun-chae contemplated that there were two ways to obtain the life nursery from Principal Bolin. He decided to choose the second method, learning about this era to break the formation himself. Yun-chae entered the school library, beginning his research plan. He decided to start with general knowledge, believing that building a solid foundation was paramount. Yun-chae told himself he had been too hasty upon his reincarnation and needed to be more patient. He realized how much times had changed. Without understanding them, he wouldn't even be able to face Luo-wai. Yun-chae wondered where Luo-wai had gotten the ideas to drive such remarkable technological advancements. While researching, he gradually understood how monocores were used, but still hadn't grasped the core principles. He found that the interaction between ordinary items and dungeon items was incredibly complex and confusing. The more he researched, the more Yun-chae realized that new questions arose more than answers. He felt that much of the information was vague and required cross-referencing many different books. Yun-chae deduced that the most crucial information might have been censored in popular text. He ventured into a dark, less frequented area of the library, deeming it too time-consuming to sift through useless books. Suddenly, a small noise made Yun-chae pause. He looked up and discovered someone sitting on a high bookshelf, quietly reading. Yun-chae was astonished to realize it was Yun-yin. He wondered why she was here alone, as she never left Yun-cha's side. Yun-chae suspected that Luo-sha's granddaughter's bodyguard might be investigating something, but then he froze upon seeing the title of the book she was reading. Just then, Yun-yin also looked up, seemingly having detected his presence. Yun-yin appeared annoyed to see Yun-chae, asking if he wasn't welcome. Yun-chae explained he just wanted to get a book, and Yun-yin asked which one. When Yun-chae replied that he wasn't sure himself, Yun-yin became so annoyed that she fell silent. Yun-chae then pointed to the book he needed, which was about dungeon principles and mechanical structures. Instantly, the designated book flew directly into Yun-chae's hands. Yun-yin looked at her hand, where a purple glow indicated she had used magic to help him. As Yunche turned to leave, Yunyan thanked him with a sarcastic tone. However, Yunche stopped and asked further about books related to mobile communication. Yunyan was once again silenced by his bothersome nature. The next day, Yunche returned and handed Yunyan another book. He also brought a sandwich and offered it to her, saying it was delicious. Yunyan coldly refused, stating it wasn't necessary. Yunche still decided to place the sandwich nearby for her. He thought to himself that despite Yunyan's cold demeanor, he felt an inexplicable sense of closeness. Yunche found this feeling strange as he looked at the sandwich he had left behind. After he left, Yunyan quietly reached out and took the sandwich. Yunche observed Yunyan searching for books and guessed she had taken advantage of Yunsha's rest to visit the library. He planned to approach her gradually to extract information about Luo Wai and Luo Sha. Yunche continued his efforts to get acquainted by standing on a ladder and handing Yunyan another book. In the library, Yunche continued to strike up conversations, asking Yunyan about the formation connection system. She explained it clearly, and Yunche immediately asked her to find related books. They both fell silent and read books for a while. Yunyan suddenly looked up from her book, her expression thoughtful. She suddenly asked why Yunche didn't go ask that person directly. Yunche evaded the question and asked about the whereabouts of Qiao Zhe, the descendant of the traitor, and Yunyan replied that he would return soon. Meanwhile, in the Ding family's inner quarters, Ding Peng and Ding Hao were seated in a room. Ding Peng angrily looked at the photo of Ding Shu tied up, furious that the kidnapper had only sent a picture and then gone silent. Ding Hao suspiciously asked if Yunche had done this. Ding Peng reasoned that Yunche was doing this to avenge the Qiao family, and wondered if he was the one who killed Lan Qian. He roared in despair, not understanding why the authorities ignored the words of the hero family and didn't arrest Yunche. Amidst Ding Peng's rage, a guard rushed in. The guard reported that Qiao Zhe of the Qiao family had returned to school. In the schoolyard, Qiao Zhi stood alone before the fountain, holding up a banner that read, "Down with the traitors." Other students gathered, discussing and wondering why Qiao Zhi was causing trouble right after the hero's death. Despite a student's assertion that Qiao En was a traitor, Qiao Zhi declared he had video evidence. From the balcony, Yunche and Yunyan quietly observed everything. Qiao Zhi boldly declared that the truth had been hidden for too long, and he would prove his grandfather was a hero. Seeing Qiao Zhi's determination, Yunche thought to himself that this world might be about to change because of the boy.